Maheshwari Professional and Entrepreneur Network. It started with Maheshwaris. Now it has increased its scope to Marwadis. Started off in Thane. Now it is at Worli. Started off with 50 people. Now we are a family of 1,000 people and growing. Started off with a 5-hour event. This time it is a 2-day event. So we have taken a journey, all thanks to our seniors who had this idea of MPEN, and I think the team ahead have taken it forward, and we are hoping the next team will take this legacy ahead. So thank you all, and once again, welcome to MPEN 2023. Well, the next session is textiles. We ended off with BFSI. We had a round of 8 to 10 speakers, and which gave us insights about BFSI. And now it is the turn of textiles. We have experts here, and we have people who have come all over from Mumbai to understand what textile is and what the future is. So I'm just leaving this floor open, requesting Arvind Sabuji to please take over and please introduce. So some of the memory lanes, do we have the slides ready? Okay, so know our founders. Started off with an idea. Now it is one of our flagship events. Kamlesh ji Sabu, Pramod ji Kasat, Sanjeev ji Maheshwari, Amit ji Rathi and Prakash ji Munda were one of the few people who had this idea of, networking. How in words of Prakash ji, he says that networking is your net worth, which is very rightly said. As you grow in your professional and your personal life, you realize that networking is the key. People's management comes second probably, but networking is the key. So, do we have the memories? Just a few ideas, just to give you a fair idea of what MPEN was and what it is now. It is just that with time it has grown. If we can have just a few. So as I said, it started off at Thane, one of our, so our Matrabhumi is what we call it, ground zero. It is now at Worli. Started off with 50 people, now a family of 1,000 plus and growing. These are few of the memories, the networking sessions. Always our host, Sham, is always there as a host for the networking thing. And MPEN Conclave 2016, so almost 7 years now. Some of the events, learning for us. Now technology has taken over, so we have replaced that now with technology. 500 people, 1,000 now. So thank you, and I set this floor open to Arvindji Sabu for taking and inviting our speakers. Thank you, and once again, welcome to MPEN 2023. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohit. I would like to invite speakers and a panelist. First of our panelists is Mr. Nilay Ji Rathi. He is the Senior Vice President of Century Textile and Industries Limited under the umbrella of Aditya Birla Group. He is a chartered accountant with an MBA degree from JBIMS, Mumbai. He is with Birla Group company for more than 21 years. He started his career in JSW Steel in 1998 as an internal auditor. He has a career spanning around 25 years in wide areas of finance, gained experience in mergers and acquisitions, treasury, forex, fixed investments, equity and overseeing operation of textile manufacturing organization. Second are our panelist, Amit Ji Pacheriwal, is a CA, passing out intermediate all groups at one go and the same in the CA finals. Way back in 2002, inherited a fabric bleaching house at Dombivli with obsolete and jugaad technology. He passed through all kinds of challenges and industries could have at various stages to come out as a successful industrialist. I would like to invite Mr. Krishnaji Chandak co-founded Tego in 2016, a Mumbai-based activewear brand to create innovative fitness gear that addresses the unmet needs of everyday athletes in India through functionality and design. With a background in business development at KPMG in New York and Mumbai, Krishna combined his passion for fitness to establish a brand that has quickly gained a loyal following for its deep product stories and trusted qualities. Krishna and his team have built strong relationships with leading technology providers, testing labs, and manufacturers globally, giving Tego a clear differentiation and edge in the market. Krishna's talentless pursuit of new standards has made Tego one of India's most trusted homegrown athletic brands. Next, I would like to invite Sanjay Ji Kedia, is the founder and CEO of Heather Gray, an MBA from SP Jain Institute of Management Studies. He has been in the apparel expert trade for 32 years. He has seen the golden period of this trade in the 90s and the metamorphosis over 3 decades. Believes in the India story since his MBA days, an out-of-the-box thinker. Aspired and succeeded over time and export apparel to over 60 markets globally under own brand name of Heather Gray, and not be a job worker for the developed world of apparel import brand levels. Next, I would like to invite Nikunji Bagadia. Born in Mumbai and schooled in Panchgani, he has always highly academically inclined. During the school days, he was a state level basketball player. After completing his textile engineering from DKT Ichalkaranji in the year 1998, he took up a job in project consultancy based in Mumbai. He joined the family business in 2000. Over the last 7-8 years, the business has grown almost 20-fold, and today the company he heads, Ken Enterprises Private Limited, is the most professionally managed, fastest growing textile manufacturer exporter in the region. The company also promotes major employment opportunities for women on the shop floor and has very high percentage of working women. He has also promoted the region's most modern, fully compliant garment manufacturing unit in Ichalkaranji, which is one of its kind of terms of usage of latest technology and is already employing in excess of 1,000 people at the moment. Please welcome. Next, I would like to invite Pratik Ji Gadia, currently the founder and CEO of the Yarn Bazaar, a startup that is building a holistic B2B yarn marketplace with the vision of organizing an unorganized textile industry. They have completed over 300 crore plus crore transactions in less than 3 years and have recently raised equity funding in Shark Tank India from 4 sharks. I will hand over the mic to Sandeep Ji Nawal. Please come.
Good afternoon to all. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this business conclave. As your moderator, I am honored to guide you through a series of insightful discussions from some of our brightest minds in our industry. Together, we will explore the latest trends, challenges, and opportunities facing our businesses today. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, my first question would be to Mr. Nilay Rathi ji, Vice President, Senior Vice President Commercials. Textile sector will have probably the maximum number of entrepreneurs in our community. As a senior leader in a textile conglomerate, what are the opportunities you feel an MSME can look to associate with corporate in a textile sector? Mics, please. Yeah.
Hello. I'm audible? Yeah.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So when we say textile sector, it has an immense requirement coming forward. We have a lot of innovations going on in textile sector. Technology has also improved a lot. Consumer preference has also improved a lot. And when we say how textile will collaborate with the small scale industries, I must say that it is gaining a lot of traction right now. Big industries are normally working on their USPs, and they are looking to small scale industries and other industries for their day to forward or backward requirement. So when we say what big industries look into while having any contact with the small scale industries, normally they look into the good infrastructure facilities, what type of facilities they have, whether they can supply the product in time. Secondly, we look about the ethical practices. So it's like good working conditions for the workers and everything. And since big corporates always supply to big brands, so sustainability, transparency, and traceability of the product. Right now, what happens, all brands, whatever is there, they require either organic cotton or something like which is sustainable, reusable, recyclable. So these type of products are required. So the industries who, small scale industries who can invest in technology and grow with the phase with which industries they are associated, they will grow for a longer perspective. So I think small scale industries have a collaborative approach. They should tie up with the brands, how they are developing, and they have to focus, innovations. They invest in innovations or technology, not innovations, genuinely a technology, because technology is changing a lot. And they should be with the market. Right now, if we say requirement of consumers has changed a lot. They require all things, sustainability, innovation, everything. But then they require low-cost products also. So when we say it's only cotton meat products if we prepare, then maybe cost is little high. So blending and other things are also there. So whosoever small scale industries, if they invest in technology, have good ethical practices, good long-term associations with the industries and grow with the industries, invest in technologies, I think they can have a good tie-up with the big industries, and they can also grow as per the big corporates are growing. So that is my take on this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your brief answer, Nileji. And my second question will be to you again. What role does innovation play in a textile industry, which is usually considered traditional? Can you cite an example where innovation in textile led to a turnaround of a corporate?
So when we say innovation as such in technology, it has improved a lot. So 3D modeling, if you say 3D modeling had done, technical textiles has increased a lot. Digital technology in textiles, that has improved a lot. So innovation is, you can reduce the cost by improving the efficiency. Innovation is you can reduce the wastages, improving efficiencies, producing different products at a very fast pace. Right now, speeds of machines have increased a lot as compared to previous machines, and technology is moving very fast. So blending of different type of materials, which I've said, blending of cotton with man-made fibers or other things. So these are some of the things wherein you have to constantly invest and constantly understand what new thing is going on. If we see right now, if knitting product had come differently, I have gone to some fair and I have seen that the knitting products are more or less equal to how woven products are prepared. So technology is changing at very fast pace, and we have to invest on all these 5-6 areas which I have said to sustain for a longer period.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Nikunji Bagadia ji is also with us. So he is from Ichalkaranji. So I would I'll ask him a question. What do you think are the good practices to be followed by a small scale industries for tie-up with big corporates?
Thank you for the question. There is only one simple best practice that I can cite, and I think Nilay ji will probably concur with this. Jo bola wo kiya. Whatever you say, whatever you commit, you do that. And what you cannot do, you don't commit. I think that is a simple principle if you follow. You can tie up with anybody from Century to any other big company in the world. Am I right, Nilay ji?
I fully 100% agree. Whatever you communicate, you should follow. Means commitment is very much because lead time, quality systems, and that should be, if you can provide these type of quality, then only you have to work. If you say, I cannot do it, that is better because corporates will always go ahead with the companies who are upfront and say what they can give, what they cannot give.
I think the principle of working for a MSME or a SME or a large corporate anywhere remains the same. It's वो सलमान खान का डायलॉग था ना कौन से पिक्चर में कि एक बार जो कमिटमेंट कर दिया so it has to be something like that. Either you commit or you don't commit, but stick to what you say.
So, what do you think? How has this COVID-19 pandemic impacted the textile industry?
I think for the decentralized sector and especially from Ichalkaranji point of view, it has clearly shown the responsiveness or the resilience of Ichalkaranji. I think when COVID stuck, after that, the first industry in India to start on 22nd of April 2020 was in Ichalkaranji. So Ichalkaranji was the first industry in India to be off the mark. And COVID has impacted, COVID has made the industry more agile in terms of doing more products, working across products and not being focused on just one product category, doing faster turnarounds. So COVID has been very, very beneficial specifically for Ichalkaranji, and Ichalkaranji has come out very strong after it. And also I think exports, supplies to garment exporters, supplies to larger corporates from Ichalkaranji post-COVID has gone up. And you will be surprised to know that in a city like Ichalkaranji, there is an annual capex investment happening to the tune of 500 crores per year. So almost 25% of the new shuttle-less looms coming into India are getting installed in Ichalkaranji. So I think Ichalkaranji is doing pretty well.
Good to hear that. And exports remain a dream for many MSME manufacturers. What advice would you give to them for trying their hand in exports? And which textile product do you see as a good future in the export segment?
I think export has more to do with aspiration, and not right now it's not really probably the best option. I think the domestic markets are doing far better than the export markets. But having said that, I think there are two things when you look at export. Again, the first point that I said at the beginning of the discussion is you take up an order only if you think you can do it. And if you commit, you have to do it. And second part, which is very, very important, is you should not be looking at transactional profits every container. So if you are doing export business, you will earn profit over a relationship over 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. But if you are looking at profits from the first container itself, I think it gets difficult. So yes, there is a big export market out there, right from gray fabrics to finished fabrics. I think finished fabrics market is much, much bigger than the gray fabric market. Apparel exports, again, is a very, very big market. And the basic principles for export, how do you approach export, remains the same.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'd like to ask Mr. Sanjay Kedia ji. Can you tell us about your company's history and how it got started?
Yeah. First of all, thank you to the MPEN organizers for inviting us here, and appreciate the time that you guys have taken out. And happy to meet all the panelists as well. Some great backgrounds that I can see over here, from corporate to own homegrown entrepreneurs on the table, on the dais. So happy to be in this August company as well. So your question, Sandeep, was on the company that, that I run.
Yes.
See, this company started about 20 years ago, but I've been in this trade for 32 years now and always believed in the export story. A little unlike what my colleague just mentioned about the export market. But I always believed in the export market since my college days because I did a project on the export competitiveness of ready-made apparels for ASSOCHAM in 1990. And since then, I traveled around the country, met a lot of exporters. And besides the glamour of the trade, I believe that the Indian labor, the Indian textiles have got a niche which can export apparel to the world. And I worked for a company for 12 years and then decided to quit and start my own company. And the export story continues. We are still export dominated. We do 90% of our top line in the export market, 10% in the domestic market. But the similar client base that we have for exports also goes to the domestic market. So having always believed in the export side of things, the culture, the thought process, the relationships, the quality standards, the compliances, the innovation, and everything has been export dominated and which has kept us going for so many years and will keep us going for many more years to come. I have seen the ups and downs of this industry over the last 3 decades, but never lost hope on the resilience of this industry, whether it was COVID, whether it was market conditions, whether it was the Ukraine war, any kind of world event which has taken place. Yes, I mean, every industry and every event has an ups and downs. But I think when you work for the long run, you don't need to make profit on the first container all the time. It's how you make profits over a period of time. In the long run, how you build your relationships. That's what keeps us going. The reason that export dominance and export thought process has always been there is because you get a better unit value realization in the export market than the domestic market. Export market is a little bit more professional than the domestic market. I don't want to downsize anybody over here, so don't get me wrong. But that's been my thought process on the export market all these 3 decades now. The India story in domestic market started sometime in 2002. That's when the mall culture came into the country and people started aspirationally looking at garments, apparel, because moving away from the small shops to the big malls and going there and buying and the glamour of the malls came in. That's when the domestic market started coming up with the Pantaloon and the big bazaars being the front runners those days. Then slowly, steadily, Reliance, Shoppers Stop, you have all the brands one by one who kind of came into the marketplace. And today you see a very different India in terms of the marketplace, in terms of the numbers that they kind of. So a lot of export companies which had a lot of downturns have entered the domestic market because that is something which is giving a lot of traction today. So which is a good thing because if the industry grows, whether it is domestic or export, as long as the industry grows, everybody gains from it, whether it is technology, sustainability, best practices, and whether it's an MSME or whether it's a corporate, everybody has got enough business on the table today if you do the right kind of work, the right kind of inputs, the right kind of time and effort that you spend on your day-to-day understanding of this industry. There's a long way to go. Yes, all of us have our challenges, but yes, with all the work that has been put in, I think a lot of experience on the dais today. Everybody's got 22 to 3 decades of experience over here. So I'm sure people will agree that the industry from what it was and what it is today, and the marketplace what it was and what it is today, there has been a win-win situation for everybody, and going forward also, if everybody works together, there's enough to do in this trade.
Thank you. You're absolutely right about this. And this is an interactive section also. So if anybody has any questions or you have a different opinion, you can always ask here to the panelists. And even between the panelists, you can ask questions to each other if you have any doubts or to clear. It can be an interactive section together.
Right. Sanjay, I'm not in textiles, but I have a fashion jewelry business. So India as a market, as you mentioned, even after it coming to that mall culture post 2002, whenever, has not seen quantums what H&M and the Zaras of the world do, of course, because of their global presence as well. So my question is a little simpler question. I mean, the panel is too huge, but how do we start approaching these clients in other countries? You know, in India, tomorrow, if I know there's a client in Bangalore, I just fly down. I take an appointment, of course, or I gate crash as well at times. You know, and it has worked for me. Even gate crashes, you just show up with your designs, it works. How do you do that in an international market?
A very good question. See, in the earlier days, there used to be buying agents in the country. So, buying agents, by the nature of the name, how do you grease their palms? That's the best way. I mean, I would pay them a certain percentage, my competitor a certain percentage, and that's how the trade worked. But obviously, they would look at commitment and delivery. That was the main thing that they would look at. And there were multiple buying agents in Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, everywhere, across the country. And they were representing the foreign buyers. And they had great connections and they had great numbers. That's how the trade grew in those golden period that we went through in the 80s and the 90s. But somehow these practices of the buying agents brought them down as well. These big brands across the globe opened their own offices in India. Maybe in India, maybe in Bangladesh, wherever. And then they started buying directly from this region. And they started selecting, because they knew that there was a lot of fat in between that was getting knocked off. And it was better to open their own offices in this country. Having said that, these offices still do remain in this country. One can either approach them and figure out what is the best way of selling to them. There is always, nowadays you have Google and you have a lot of other marketing opportunities which are available. You have your own website. LinkedIn is a great tool that one can use, which is very understated today, but LinkedIn is a fantastic tool that you can get across to people. We use LinkedIn very effectively in our own business, and we have seen great success on that. So the marketing techniques have changed over the years. So we have to we have to change our mindset and move away from buying agents to cold calls to a degree. Cold calls also do help. There are no two things about it. But there is one interesting aspect I would like to mention to everybody here is, I had a chance meeting with a legend on a flight, which is a great example for all of us, which changed my thought process quite a bit. A person called Shah Mahuja. I don't know how many people know Shah Mahuja. Now, Shah Mahuja was a legend in his days, and he used to manufacture carpets and daris from India, from a city called Badhoi in UP. And he had created that local culture, used the local artisans, and even prison labor to a degree, to create carpets and daris, and export it to the world under Shah Mahuja as a label, not as a label of a Zara or a H&M, as you mentioned, for example, that they would not come to him, he would go to the world and sell under Shah Mahuja. And he had a store in Paris, he had a store in New York. I was lucky that he was my co-passenger on a flight 25 years ago. And I was a kid, in a way, in front of him. He was like a 60-year-old gentleman. And on that flight, he mentioned one thing: Sanjay, you're a garment exporter. I am a dharis exporter. The only difference between both of us is that I export under my own label, and you export under the label of your customer. So technically, you are a job worker. Harsh words. But he said, problem with India is that we do not like to put our label and export. We feel that we are always a shade below the Western world, and we are happy to deal with them on their terms, not on our terms. Okay. So he said, my showrooms in Paris and New York, I have the Michael Jacksons and the Bill Clintons of the world, whose homes, when they are made, they're architects, and they come to my showroom and they select the carpets, dharis, furnishings. I pride myself in that. So you guys, you're youngsters, you guys should take an example from this and tomorrow create Indian brands which you can sell to the world as an MSME or whatever is there.
Very true.
So that thought struck with me and I couldn't sleep the all night. I mean, we didn't sleep because we were chatting. I mean, I couldn't let go of the guy. I didn't let him sleep rather. For that entire flight to Paris, we were going and he invited me for dinner. And it was an amazing dinner I had with him. That stuck. So the dream was that when I start my own company, somewhere down the line, I want to put my label and export from the country. And that dream has really come through with a team of people that we have today, and everybody shares the dream that we have in this company. It didn't happen overnight. It took 4 or 5 years to materialize. But today with pride, we can say that our product with our labels go to almost 60 markets globally. We sell. And we are one of the top 10 exporters in our category of product globally, and growing and growing and growing. So that is something which I pride myself. So I hope I answered your question too.
Partially, yes. Maybe. Because, again, as you said, selling your own brand. So today, the quantum of jewelry, so even a H&M or Zara again, because those are my dream buyers for now, their average buying price points are $1 or $1.50.
Mike?
$1 or $1.50 max. So that is the kind of market that prevails even abroad, where then the brand sells it at anywhere between $5 to $9. So doing that with our own label to that kind of a market where you need that kind of volumes, we don't have that kind of an organized trade there. So what China, which is the biggest competitor to us right now in the jewelry segment, does is it does its own designs and it sells to the brands there. So I think for now, at least for the next year or two, at least till the time I get 100% inspired by you, I think we'll have to be there at the job manufacturing part, and that is why we were looking to approach clients there.
I think you answered your question in a way. You said designs, right? You used the word designs. China does their own designs and does it, right? In India, we do not believe in designing. We don't believe in innovation at the ground level. So that is one of the things we opened in our organization, not immediately. It took us 7 or 8 years to do that, but we created a design studio. So we create our own designs, have that niche which the customers like. We were told for many years that China is your competitor. Today we can compete with China. We have another small example, I think, which should, just to me. We have exported goods from China to the rest of the world. We made a certain product which is called socks. They have a city in China which just makes socks. We got an order of some 2 million pairs of socks for a customer, and they could turn it around in 60 days. India, there was no manufacturer who was willing to support us to manufacture that in 60 days. They made the sample in 3 days. We got it approved from the customer in 3 days. We manufactured it in 60 days. We shipped it to 27 countries globally. And the same brand in China said, can you also give us some 300,000 units? So we actually floated a company for 3 months in China, build the Chinese, because you need a VAT number and stuff like that to even sell locally. So we sold, sitting in India, formed a company, manufactured in China, sold to a customer in China. So I don't think you'll get a better example of Chinese competition in any way that you can do. Kind of. So it's a journey. You know, there are no easy answers to your questions, but you'll have to start somewhere, maybe get into the job work frame of things, find the clients, get your unit value realizations up, work on your design concept, work your niche. Don't look at volumes, look at what your niche is. There's scope for everything in the world today, small, big, extra large, but find your niche. See what value you can give to your customer. You don't have to go to the Zaras and the H&Ms of the world, you know, that's all glamorous and they've got their supply chain in place. They will fleece you. And you can never put your label and sell to Zara, or you'll have to look at your niches and make a mark for yourself.
Okay, thanks for the question, Shyam. And that was a very good experience that he shared with us. And a very close example of Shyam Ahuja to Shyam Daga. So you can create your own brand now, Shyam Daga. Okay, so again, next question will be for Krishna Chandakji. He is the founder of Tego Fit. For most of us, online products are perceived as a cheap and inferior quality products. What made you to make a premium brand, online brand like Tego?
So I'm in the business of scalable niches. That's how we started. Believe it or not, I think whether you build a brand or you don't build a brand in a specific industry, it's very subjective. It really depends on who your end customer is. For us, the use case that we went after was a growing tribe of fitness mindset consumers in the country. That's what we noticed in 2011-12. When I moved back from New York and I started working again in Mumbai, it's something that I kind of observed. And the second thing I looked at was, what's the next wave of engineering? There was Internet of Things and there was materials. I didn't know anything about either one of them. But I knew that, fitness was something that was close to me, right? So to get to your point, why premium? Because fitness mindset consumers, you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice because the purchasing of that product is a very involved process. A fitness mindset consumer is looking for a product that's going to last long, has longevity, has versatility, and he's also looking for an exclusivity dynamic in the product. So for me, there was no choice but to launch a premium product, and I think that's what excites me. I think that challenge of setting a new standard for every niche that we go after is something that kind of drives us. So it's different for every entrepreneur, it's different for every businessman, it's different for every kind of venture. But I think for us, it's understanding what this, what this early adopter fitness mindset consumer wants. Many times we spend a lot of time with them, and we try to understand what is it that what's their problem, and many times they know the solution. So our job is to go and find and curate those technologies and the materials and the fabrics and, like you said, sir, design. And you automatically have a premium product, right? And that's it. That's why we are premium.
So how do you keep up with the changing fashion trends and ensure that your design remains fresh and vibrant?
Again, it's we spend a lot of time with these, these early adopter consumers, and we try to understand. So we spend a lot of time with designers. We spend a lot of time understanding current trends. There are reports available. There are search reports available in terms of what's on trend. And there is, it's a combination of these two where you come out with a product that the customer wants. And luckily, in activewear, you don't have to have a lot of collections.
Okay.
Not like the
Selective.
fashion industry. Yeah. So that's one of the things that attracted me to this industry as well, actually. So, that's our approach.
Thank you. Any questions for this? So I think so you have answered it correctly for all of them. Next will be for Mr. Pratik Garia is G with us. He is the founder and CEO of the Yarn Bazaar. We'll have to ask you the question in a reverse chronological order, as the crowd is eagerly curious to know about your experience of Shark Tank. First of all, congratulations for recently raising equity in the Shark Tank. What advice would you give who is aspiring to, participate in such kind of reality shows of Shark Tank like?
I think the most simple advice is just go for it, because more than whether you get to present to them or not, whether you get funded or not, what's really important is it prepares you for your business journey. I mean, if you just look at the application process, it's fairly elaborate. And what happens is a lot of times we've seen as founders, we feel that we've thought it all, but there are a lot of other areas where we've not plugged that gap yet. And once you start doing such applications, that you come across many fields that the investor mindset would have thought of, which is pertaining to your business model or your go-to-market strategy or your product market fit, and some other things there. And it prepares you to think in those perspectives also. So whether you get to go in or present to them or not, what really matters is that it really shapes your thought in terms of how you should be building your business. So my advice is just, I mean, even if you're not interested, just look at those forms. It's not just Shark Tank. I mean, globally there's a fund called Y Combinator, YC, started by Paul Graham back in the days. And there are many such other funds and applications in India as well. आप लोग जिस तरह का ये setup कर रहे हो मारवाड़ी समाज के लिए, there's a similar thing called Jito, right, which is done by the Jain community. They also have a very active investment arm. In fact, their application is also very, very lengthy. There's a fund called IPV, Inflection Point Ventures. One of the lengthiest forms we've seen across the world is by IPV. Like, they will ask you for your 5-year projection with a monthly cash flow. So that's when you get into the mindset of even financials of your business. Okay. So yeah, just go for it, look at it. Even if you're not interested, it kind of prepares you for your business much better.
Even this team also has recently done a Maheshwari Shark Tank. So congratulations to the same team. So can you tell the audience what made you jump into a yarn segment, which is a not so cool, for the new generation?
It's not the sexy segment of textile. I think the sexy segment of textile is always fashion. And see, there's a reason to that. When you speak to any common man and you talk about textiles, their understanding of textiles is always fashion. That's the reason why that stream is very sexy. My journey was slightly different. To be honest, I mean, I didn't want to be a part of textiles. So I have a family business into fabric manufacturing. I would rather say I'm born and brought up in textiles, because since I was a kid, I've gone to my dad's office. I've known some of his clients since I was like 4 years old. Okay. So I've known the business. My school, college vacations were always going to office, sitting next to him and observing his business. And his office back in the days used to be in Kalba Devi. मतलब Kalba Devi की गली में बचपन से घुमा हूँ. And the idea was to spend like a year in my dad's business.
Main hub of Bombay.
Sorry?
Main hub of Bombay.
I mean, the textiles hubs from Bombay. Yes. So my idea was to spend the year, like 1 full year after completing my graduation, and then decide, how the business looks like, and then take the next action step. And during that year, when I was like full time in the business, I realized that, boss, this is not something I want to do. So went to Warwick, did my master's in innovation entrepreneurship, came back to start something of my own. But I think it was probably destiny that, my dad pulled me back to the business, spent another 6-7 years. And it was during that time when I was managing mainly yarn sourcing and fabric production, being part of the family business. And that got me exposed to like the nitty-gritties and how broken the supply chain really is. So that's how the journey of Yarn Bazaar started. It was more of an empathetic journey. It was not a typical founder journey where you look at multiple problems, you zero down with the help of data कि कौन सा market का size बड़ा है, उसको slice कर रहे हो कि किसमें आपका margin profile ज़्यादा रहेगा. It was not at all that way. And one thing that really stuck to me of why textiles should be where I should be spending my next 20-30 years is at a human being level, at our core. One of the thing about textiles is ठीक है वो रोटी कपड़ा मकान सबने सुना है कि it's as important 3 basic necessities. But what really we don't talk about is that when a new human life is born, the first foreign element ingredient that a new child interacts with is actually textile fabric. कपड़े से बच्चे को पहले पोंछ के उसमें लपेट के रखते हैं. तो it's very, very, close to us. So that's when I decided that Yarn Bazaar has to happen, and that's where I want to spend the next few years.
It was also very good to know that you have done your master's degree in innovation and entrepreneurship from the University of Warwick, UK, correct? So can you tell us about the new yarn innovations and technologies that you are currently using in your segment?
So see, we are an enabler, we are not a manufacturer. We are a trade or a commerce enabler. So we are a sourcing company for weavers and a sales distribution company for a supplier. But still, to answer your question, as an enabler in terms of the new technology we've seen, so there are multiple ways of looking at it. One is technology in terms of manufacturing yarn. Like just last month, our team was in Budhni visiting a Trident facility there. And I can tell you, before I went there, I never knew how big that facility could be. So firstly, it's built on a land bank which is about 3,000 acres. Right? Okay. 3,000 acres is huge.
It's a huge.
Every shed you see there are, if you talk about yarn manufacturing, they have about 6 different sheds in the same facility. Every shed is like a kilometer long. Right? And within each shed, you would not see more than 5 or 10 workers in that shed. So rather, there are 5 people sitting outside the factory with, there's a very small table, probably as small as this one, and 4 people sitting there just looking at computers. Right? So that's the kind of technology they have when it comes to yarn manufacturing. Now during that trip, we also got a chance to look at their new spinning mill, which is just getting erected. So we saw the erection live, and they have a new model in that new facility where they're going to block certain spindles, a small portion of their manufacturing unit, calling it the Tatkal service. So if a buyer wants a certain type of yarn within 24 hours manufactured and then ready to be shipped, this facility allows them to do that. Now imagine if there's a brand, if there's a buyer, or if there's a weaver who really wants that, and it does happen. I'm sure if you talk to people who are exporting, there are so many times they would be getting orders which has a very, very strict lead time. Right? If you were to go to a traditional yarn manufacturer and ask for a certain type of yarn, right, which is made to order, and that allows you to take your customer's order with that strict lead time, I'm sure it's going to be impossible. Right? So that's the kind of technology they're having in manufacturing. Now you talk about yarn. Of course, last 2 years post-COVID has taught every one of us a lot. So there are a lot of yarn blending that is happening today. Right? So a lot of blends coming up, a lot of value-added segment coming. Right? There are companies like Dodias and Nimbats and Damodars, which are just coming up with fantastic, beautiful products. Right? Which allows a consumer to actually, at a consumer stage, it allows us to actually come across beautiful fashion pieces, which kind of elevates our fashion statement. Right? The only way a Ranveer Singh is carrying or wearing whatever he's wearing is because there's someone who's thought of those kind of yarns and those kind of fabrics.
Absolutely.
So a lot of technical or technological advancement is happening across the medium, and of course there are players like us who are trying to create a technological play in the e-commerce side of things.
Thank you so much for the answer. Next, I would like to ask Mr. Amitji. You have been successful in the changing the path of your family business into the new arena of the textile. What resistance did you face from your elders?
Thank you so much, MPEN, for having me here with the esteemed panel. And it's really nice to be here, talking with everyone, interacting with everyone. So unlike what everyone would have perceived, it was none. Like I was the lucky one to have faced none of the challenges or none of the maybe like opposition from the family. Very supporting. Thing was, there was bit of apprehension initially because we were changing the picture of our textile process mill completely. What was started by my dad was a basic bleaching unit, जो hand process से चलता था, like very traditional way. All the machines were in the hand process. They were bleaching bulk volume of malmals, and that was going to Jaipur, जहाँ साड़ी print होती है. That was a very crude way how a textile unit was basically run 30 years back in hub of Dombivli. And the idea what I came up with was basically starting printing with all the imported machines like Stormac, continuous bleaching ranges, dyeing ranges, and complete transformation, which was involving 2 challenges. One, we couldn't shut down the existing unit because अगर वो बंद करते हैं to make the construction, so we lose on revenues. And so one was installing these machineries without stopping the existing setup. And that involved making the building without shifting any of the machineries. Second, the bigger challenge was that you are transforming the complete business of which we have never ventured. Earlier you were dealing with a very like indigenous, crude form of customer line, जो जहाँ व्यापारी आके बैठते थे, माल bleach करवाते थे. It used to go for dyeing of or printing of sarees, and now immediately like we'll be dealing with say multinationals. The customers we are targeting were definitely somewhere like Primark, H&M, Marks and Spencer. Printing we were venturing, which was never our forte. We have never done that. And at the same time, there were challenges without stopping the production. So my dad definitely, he was apprehensive, not because ki complete change of business hoga, but because ki there was so much uncertainty, and he was scared ki maybe if I come into emotional turmoil, if it doesn't work. But fortunately, everything was in place. One step after the other, it kept on working, and slowly we kept on transforming the same. And definitely the family was very, very supportive. And that is the reason why we are here. It's all because of the family support.
Obviously. Family support is always important.
Yeah, that's true.
So, continuous professional and technical learning is one aspect which is not so common in textile industry. We have many young textile entrepreneurs in the audience. Can you highlight how do you ensure that you and your team is updated on the technical and professional advancements?
It's a very good question, and I think that is the biggest challenge insofar as conventional business like textile is concerned. But I would say that out of the box thinking in a conventional business like textile or a process mill is much more important. Now there are two aspects to it, as you asked. One is technical and one is professional. So technical challenges to keep ourselves being upgraded into this, what we have done, we have tied up with BITRA, that is the Mumbai Textile Research Association, one of the best research associations which works from the yarn level or from the weaving level till the process level. So as we are LEVA certified, one of the LEVA certified partners, so we get assistance from them. People from BITRA, they visit our unit, they do a complete audit of the process what you are following. So they help us a lot in keeping ourselves updated with the technicalities. Along with BITRA, there are two more aspects to this. One is the machinery and the second is the chemicals, what you do in that. So visiting the trade fairs, visiting the machinery fairs, keeping yourself updated of what machineries are being introduced, and at the same time replacing your old machineries or at least updating them. That is very, very important, because if you don't invest in machineries, if you don't invest in new technologies, and which is definitely only if you get to visit the trade fairs, if you visit the machinery fairs, you will get to see what is happening in the world. So we have been continuously doing that, and so far as the machinery upgradation is concerned. Then along with this, all the new technologies are coming in so far as the wet process is concerned. So we keep ourselves updating accordingly. We invite the suppliers come, they teach us what new process technologies have come. So with the help of institutions like BITRA and with the help of chemical suppliers and updating ourselves with the updation of machineries, we are able to compete in so far as the technical part is concerned. Now coming to the professional, the other part, like which is highly ignored, the professional competence in textile. Nobody gives heed to the professional competence, and I feel that is equally important, and that is the reason we normally keep attending the seminars of motivational speakers. I myself personally admire Shiv Kheraji, and I have attended his seminars, I have read his books, and you gain a lot of information on these seminars. They change the way of thinking. They are the motivation speakers, and when you learn something from them and when you implement it with your team, and we keep sending our top management team to these type of seminars, so you implement basically what they say, you keep implementing in a business. Like one of the lines of Shiv Khera, which I can't forget, he asked all of us, what does practice makes? So definitely we'll play practice makes you perfect. And his reply was no, practice makes it permanent. If you practice it wrong, then that habit will become permanent. So basically practice will make something permanent, not perfect. So these are few examples. If you keep taking part in these type of seminars, keep updating your staff on this, then definitely you will overcome this challenge too.
So true. Nileji, can you discuss any emerging markets or segments that are showing potential for growth in the textile industry?
So emerging markets, I think we already have a free trade agreements with Australia, UAE, and I think it is underway. UK can be done anytime. USA itself is a huge market for India. So these are the big markets where we can explore our things. And apart from that, China +1 policy, that will also help India a lot. If we continue to approach these by the way our esteemed panelist had said, by buying houses or something, we have a good market, but cost benefit analysis needs to be done. When we see domestic market as vis-a-vis export market, when we approach them, government had given a lot of benefits on that. So if we include that, then I think we can approach after free trade agreement happen. India is a big market. Out of India, globalizations had increased a lot. So I think outside market, all is open for India. You can go to South Asia, everywhere it is like demand is there. And all are looking towards India because there's a lot of turmoil happening in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh also is facing its own problem, Myanmar. So India is the only place where I think a lot of other countries are focusing for. So I think textile right now maybe a little bit pain period is there. But after 5 to 6 months, I think cream period of textile will come in time to come. Reason being everyone is looking towards India to get all the things what they require. But then, as I have said before also, you have to invest in technology. You have to do a lot of innovations. What is the customer pain point that you have to understand? Price bracket of them we have to adjust. So this is a continuous process. We cannot say okay, what we have done is the final. So market, a lot of markets are there. And India has a lot of potential also. And right now, PLI schemes also have come. Textile park also, Narendra Modi ji had declared. So I think these are the areas if we explore, we can reduce our cost and we can be competitive in the export market. Market is fully open. I can say this thing only right now. If you have anything to add.
I have a question for RTG. I like these Marwadi conventions, you know, the G is a very important thing everywhere.
You can even speak in Marwadi also right now.
And
you can say that.
No. You spoke a lot about innovation and you spoke a lot about export markets, and India's position today is becoming stronger because of the government support and the respect that India is getting today in the world, and being a reliable supplier, which people realized, the markets realized over the COVID, that India typically supported everything going forward. On the innovation side, a lot of things are being spoken about recyclable, which we feel that is going to be the next big story globally. How is your company supporting this recycle story, which can become a big story out of India to the world going forward? Because India still has that capacity to convert and export from a recycle. I mean, Reliance is something which has really taken things forward, but I'm not sure whether the supply chain of Reliance is in place today, because we are facing some challenges on that front. But how is Century and Aditya Birla Group trying to support that initiative?
So I think it's a very genuine question, and I think all industries are working out. And when we go to big brands, they are normally requiring either recycling, reusability, or not using those things, because I think right now, because of costing main perspective, a lot of exports has been done. I think USA is fully filled for 3 years, at least their landfills are over, because polyester, a lot of polyester they have taken. We have already started recycling of a lot of things, and that's why I have emphasized initially on blending of things. So when we do blend, we normally use 20-30% recycle place, and then because 100% recycle, because customer mindset is different little. They talk about all sustainability and everything, and when we say recycle means your product had come and it is already used by someone and you have changed it. So that will take time, but then you have to educate the customers, and gradually government and everyone is encouraging these things. So we have started right now blending of some of our products by using 20-30% of recyclable, and then so that to get the finish and type of requirements are there. Because if you use 100% recyclable, maybe it will not be of the level what original has prepared. So gradually only we can go, it's a learning process for customers also, for companies also, but in the way technology is improving, I hope in time to come, in short period something, we will develop these type of machines where recyclability will be very much prominent. But then government already had started initiating in the mind of people for recyclability and all these things. Customers are also focusing on those things when they go over there. At least brand is saying we are using these type of recyclable product, and that is environment friendly. It will be used for a longer period. So it will take time. I cannot say right now anyone, if you start everything recycling and customers will purchase. But gradually it's a learning process also for all of us. Recyclable product, how it works out.
My question was more from the supply chain. My customers are asking for that product. I'm not able to get the sourcing right.
That I think I have already said that US is already filled landfills there during this COVID period for low cost, whatever discoveries there. If you go to any high-end stores, you will not find any customers. So when you go to some of the segments like brands which are like seconds or thirds, you will find customers are genuinely moving over there. So US is already filled for 2 to 3 years of landfill polyester, that much they have imported to their country. So we have to identify the people. We are getting that product from where normally we are getting recyclable product. We have these type of things, but I'm right now cannot explain you, but I can offline I can tell you.
Okay, thank you for that. So I got something for Shyam Dagaji, recycled jewelry. That's a niche market again.
Jewelry, it can be done, I think.
A bigger challenge and a better challenge.
New task for you. तो संजय जी, आप आपका प्रोसेस जरा समझा सकते हैं कि आपकी सोर्सिंग और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैसे होती है आपके अपैरल फॉर एक्सपोर्ट्स के लिए?
It's a very simple industry. I mean, textile garment industry is a very simple industry, and we go to the regular good fabric vendors. We try to not deal with traders, but more directly with the process houses who are like vertically integrated or partly integrated. Good quality, but at competitive prices, who are quality conscious as well of the product that they give you. We do not own any single manufacturing machine. We have subcontracts collaborating with a lot of factories. We support indirectly about 4,000, 5,000 workers indirectly. We find more value in sales and marketing than actually setting up things on your own in this industry, because our product base is very varied. So setting up a factory for everything may not add value, but we partner with people who are good in converting and who are happy to work with us to grow the volumes. So we work as partners with most of our factories that we deal with, whether it is fabrics, whether it is converting. And we add value by going to the world and getting in the orders, concentrate on that, concentrate on the design. So it's a different business model that we kind of put together, because earlier export days, it was always that you should set up your own factory, showcase to the customer, showcase everything. But you know, the Levers of the world and the Procter & Gamble's of the world, or the Coca-Colas of the world, they do not own a single factory. It is the IP that they own and the formula that they own connected to the IP. They are what? They are marketeers. Coca-Cola is a marketeer. Hindustan Lever is a marketeer. So all your Colgate toothpaste and Pepsodent and everything that you buy today, nothing is manufactured by P&G or is all outsourced. But they control the manufacturing to their quality standards by using their IP in a certain way. So if you apply that formula in our trade, it feels good to own a factory, but it's that more of ego. But you can spend your time and energy a lot on going to the world, getting in the numbers, getting in the orders, and you have partners who are willing to work with you, because everybody cannot take the risk and everybody cannot be good at everything. So you are good at sales and marketing, designing, taking risk, taking abilities to go to the world, get in the orders for your country and for yourself, of course. But you have partners who are good in manufacturing, partners who are good in supply chain, partners who are good in so many things. So if you work as a team, then you can make that difference. But if you want to own everything, grass is always greener on the other side, but you need to know what your strength is, end of the day. I may not be a great converter, but I have got great converting friends and partners who can do it for me and do it together for all of us. That's what the success is, basically.
True,
I just want to add a small thing here. I think that's a very strong point. If you look at the construct of Indian textile industry, it's 80%, 83% fairly decentralized smaller SMEs. Right? Most of the promoters are spending their time in all the functions of the business, including sourcing, manufacturing, distribution, marketing, sales, collections, everything. Right? If they work on a partnership model, right, where you collaborate with either your downstream or your upstream partners and focus on one thing that really differentiates you, right? That one thing can be manufacturing, it can be branding. I think then your growth story may definitely be different than what it has historically been.
To get a better productive output.
Yeah, so you focus your core, what is that one thing that you do better than the others, you focus on that and then build a partnership model around that. Right, which is also where Yan Bazaar is trying to build itself. Ki, theek hai, aap sourcing hamare upar chhod do.
Correct. I think so. Table number 18, you have a question. Can somebody help with a mic?
जय श्री कृष्ण। आप लोग बात कर रहे थे रिसाइकेबल प्रोडक्ट्स, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय दैट एंड व्हिच आर द प्रोडक्ट्स?
इट्स अ वेरी बहुत ही बढ़िया शब्द है रिसाइक्लेबल, यू नो, सबको बहुत अच्छा लगता है, बट उसको समझने के लिए मुझे भी थोड़ा टाइम लगा। एक होता है प्री कंज्यूमर, एक होता है पोस्ट कंज्यूमर। सिंपल वर्ड्स में अगर आपके, जस्ट करेक्ट मी इफ आई एम गोइंग रॉन्ग, आई मीन लॉट ऑफ एक्सपर्ट्स ऑन द टेबल, हैव टू बी लिटिल केयरफुल। अगर आपका यान बन रहा है और यान बनते बनते कुछ ग्रैन्यूल्स गिर गए हैं, वो यान में नहीं गया है लेकिन वो इकट्ठा करके उसको अगर आप किसी प्रोडक्ट में या यान में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं या उसको यूज़ में ले सकते हैं, वो प्री कंज्यूमर हो गया, क्योंकि कंज्यूमर तक पहुंचा ही नहीं, वो उसको रिसाइकिल कर रहे हैं। ऑल द वेस्ट विच इज़ देयर अराउंड इन दी यान मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्टेज, स्पेसिफिकली पॉलिएस्टर यान। पोस्ट कंज्यूमर इज़ जब आपकी पेट बॉटल्स, जैसे आपकी कोक, पेप्सी वगैरह की बॉटल्स हैं या शैम्पू बॉटल्स हैं और सोप बॉटल्स हैं, ये बॉटल्स आप नॉर्मली फेंक देते हैं इसको, तो ये लैंडफिल की जैसे बात हो रही थी, कहीं ना कहीं डिस्पोज होती हैं। तो ये कुछ कंपनीज उठा के इसको वापस से ग्रैन्यूल्स में कन्वर्ट करती हैं, विच कैन बी यूज्ड इन मेकिंग अ यान। सो द क्वालिटी ऑफ द यान, some people say it is inferior, some people say it is not inferior, that time will tell. But the point is, from the global, what do you say, the earth movement and all these, जो भी आप पेपर में आजकल पढ़ते हैं, और carbon emissions and various, it's all connected. कि how can we reduce consumption of fresh virgin things and use recyclable things, तो उसमें काम आता है। इसके लिए the problem only is कि ये polyester है, man-made. Cotton recyclable is a different industry, polyester is a different industry. और polyester का जो है usage बहुत है, because the wastage of polyester is much more than the wastage of cotton post-consumer. So that is typically, in a nutshell, as a layman, that I have understood is what recyclable is, and then different applications to different industries. And nowadays, I think everybody likes to put that label of recyclable on not only textiles, but any consumer product that you see. because everybody wants to be part of that global movement ki we are contributing back to the society. Even water for that matter, a lot of waste management of water, whether you call it, a lot of societies nowadays have these STP plants. So आपका जितना भी पानी building से निकलता है, उसको recycle करके it is used for flushing, maybe gardening, maybe certain applications in your society, जिसमें कि fresh water की ज़रूरत नहीं है. It is ultimately recycled. Whatever you can recycle, whether it's polyester, cotton, water, you contribute back to the society and the planet.
I hope you have got your answer. Thank you. अभी सोर्सिंग की बात चल रही थी, तो मैं कृष्णा जी से भी पूछना चाहूँगा कि how do you source your materials and ensure their quality?
We have a multi-country sourcing at this point. But over the last few years, what we've noticed is that our nearshoring is increasing, right? And that's the ultimate goal for a brand like us, because as we scale, we will have to look at those opportunities. I think we do have testing agencies. We do have, we work with very closely with one of the top suppliers in the world for various materials that we use. So ultimately, it's the you use your network to make sure that you're sourcing the right materials and the product works the way it's supposed to work. But I think testing plays a big role in it as well.
So it plays a role in pricing as well.
Yeah, ultimately that's why most activewear products are higher. There's a reason why activewear products do end up costing more. But that's also
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Please continue.
But that's also because it's a very unique sector, right? I mean, it's not a fashion product. The expectation for that product is very, very high, and because the use case is very different. If you're going mountain climbing and your zipper doesn't work, what are you going to do? It's not like a Zara T-shirt, just button nahi chala ya zip nahi chala. So I think that's where it ends up being a little expensive, and but that's why you don't have any other choice than to be premium in activewear in the long term. And I think consumers are ready to pay. Consumers are ready to pay, and as long as it delivers as promised. So yeah.
So that's how you are balancing the affordability with profitability.
Affordability, profitability, ऐसा है कि it's when we look at a product, and when we design a product, we look at what is a customer willing to pay for that product, right? And then we look at what he or she wants from that product. And then we say, it's like when you buy a car, right? When you import a car, what do? They say, "ठीक है, heated seats नहीं चाहिए. I don't want a sunroof." And that's how you work towards profitability. So as long as you hit those aspects, you can change your pricing through design, through material, and all those aspects. As long as we work on 60 to 65% margins, so that's a global standard, and that's what we work on. And if it doesn't hit that, then we just don't move ahead with that product. But I was telling somebody a while back, there are some products that I'll just launch out of my branding budget, just to establish that Tego can demand that price, because you can always move down, but you can't move up. So what we are doing as a brand today, and it's a very long tail strategy, is we will be that brand that can defend differentiation. That's my goal. I mean, that's what
Correct.
kind of excites me.
Brand differentiation.
Yeah.
Makes your product premium.
Yeah. It's a very long tail strategy though. Yeah.
So, और एक क्वेश्चन ये भी था कि जैसे ऑनलाइन ब्रांड है आपका, प्रीमियम ब्रांड है, तो बहुत सारी कंप्लेंट्स भी आती होगी, बहुत सारे रिटर्न्स भी आते होंगे. So how do you handle that customer service?
So customer service is, I think that's something I learned during lockdown. So, that's when the business really scaled, right? We really scaled during that time. And, without sounding insensitive, it's the best marketing campaign we've ever had is COVID, right? Whatever kind of, our premise was to start this brand, it all came true. Because, when I started Tego, it was like, what's that one sector that will grow in a downturn? That thesis was correct, right? Because, how we kind of handled it was, one interesting thing we did was we really made sure that customer service is in the office. We did not outsource customer service. We set up a very detailed escalation matrix. We invested in a lot of tech stacks to ensure the escalation takes place. We invested a lot of time and effort into setting up FAQs with our customer service so that they can take decisions then and there. It doesn't even need to get escalated to me. So, one interesting thing we did is, we converted all our sales guys during COVID into customer service guys. Because bichara, Kolkata mein tha, kya karega? We said, theek hai. Now he takes care of abandoned cart. Another customer service guy, he's actually a sales guy. We've made him in charge of all RTOs. So last mile, we make sure that it's not going to come back to us. Another thing we do is, we've set up systems by which we know India mein bahut aadat hai.
Misuse करने?
नहीं, misuse नहीं है. I think my wife is guilty of it. My wife is guilty of it. She will buy things from Zara in multiple sizes, right? We have set up a system कि एक order में अगर multiple sizes आते हैं for that variant, our customer service will call up saying, hey, how can I help you?
Okay.
So these are the kind of, there's a little bit of tech stack, there's a lot of training that we've done to ensure that. So I'll just give you some metrics. On an average, in apparel, it's 15% returns. If you're 5%, you should write a textbook. We're at 7%. We're at 7%.
Great.
Because I'll tell you why. I cannot afford to call back a yoga mat. I just can't afford to call back a yoga mat if it goes. Or, socks is a big category. I can't afford to get back a pair of socks, where the cost of that bringing it back is going to be more than the product. So, necessity is the mother of invention, and that's what we do. Yeah.
So very soon we are going to read books from Mr. Krishna Chandakji. He's at 7%, only 2% left. So the next question will be to Mr. Sanjay ji. How do you stay up to date on changing regulations and requirements from exporting apparels to different countries? Like Middle East, Europe, there are different regulations all over the world.
See, with Google and a lot of information and everything is very easy nowadays. You just need to follow a few websites on a regular basis. And as Rathiji mentioned, a lot of FTAs are happening with many countries globally thanks to our political leadership. So the entire Asia Pacific is more or less captured with FTA, zero duty imports to many countries in the Asia Pacific. Though many of them are direct competition to us, but the zero duty really helps. UK, as he mentioned, UAE has just been recently, about a year ago, the accord was signed. So a lot of these countries slowly, steadily are coming into that gamut of things. But in our textiles trade, one should remember that there used to be an era of quotas, which was dismantled in the year 2004, if I'm not mistaken. So quotas was a big import barrier or an export barrier for many countries, for small players like most of the MSMEs those days. All the big dads of the trade had cornered all the quotas over the years, and many people were not able to export outside the country, especially to markets like Europe and US, which were the main buyers those days. I particularly very happy with that 2004 policy, because that is when we started getting more aggressive onto exports. And it was just a writing on the wall, because all these big dads of the industry today are extinct. They are no longer in the trade. And that was something, I don't want to sound pompous, but that is something that I was predicting, because they had lost focus on the business and they were making more money on quotas than on the product. And they lost sight of how costings happen and how trade happens, and quotas was something which was driving them all these years. And 2004 to 2010, 12, 13, you can see every year somebody was going out of business because quotas did not matter anymore. So you got to keep a track of what makes your business run in the global trade, because global trade those days was run by quotas, whether it was fabrics, whether it was ready-made apparel and those kind of stuff. And then you had a new regime coming in of zero duty, which is all under FTAs and various things. There is one more interesting thing in this trade which happened, is called GSP, Generalized System of Preference, which was again connected to, in a way, to the quotas, which is very interesting for all of us to understand here is, the Western world those days made the rules. They try to make the rules today as well, but those walls are slowly, steadily coming apart. We are no longer the developing world anymore. So many years ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago, they made some rules. Developed world versus the developing world. So the developed world will decide how much they will buy from the developing world, and they would fix a quota. Look, one of the things was quota, and the second thing they would say, अच्छा ठीक है, आपके country बहुत गरीब है, तो हम जब import करेंगे, तो आपको एक हम discount देंगे in the import duty. So it is called GSP certification, which you get from your local chamber of commerce. So if the import duty, let us say 15%, 20%, you will get 3, 4, 5% as a discount. Bangladesh would get something, India would get something, Pakistan would get something. But slowly, steadily, that is becoming zero again. So indirectly, all these benefits that you used to get, these are all temporary in nature. One has to understand that when you do exports. You cannot do your costings based on the benefits that you get. These are all temporary in nature, whether it is quota, whether it is GSP, whether it is duty drawback that you get a lot of incentives from the government. I mean, we are used to 20% to 30% government incentives in the 80s and the 90s. So all these glorious exporters those days used to work on the government incentives and not on the product costings and the profitability of the product. And जैसे जैसे incentives started going down, quotas started going away, they lost focus on how to make the product competitive globally. China is facing a similar issue today, because China also does a lot of incentivization to their trade, even protecting the currency. If you see the Chinese RMB, it has not moved too much compared to a lot of other currencies, especially the Indian rupee. So anything which is a protection to your trade, whether it is by your own country or globally, these are all temporary things. Free trade is what you should always look at. Keep yourself abreast. Never fall into a trap. It's a trap. Any incentive given is temporary. You get used to an incentive, use it to keep that money aside for a day when you may need to use it to invest back into the business. But never work on your product costing based on an incentive, because that is not going to remain forever. And keep a tab, try to keep a tab on the global things. Google and so many, options that you have today. In earlier days, we had those limitations. Today, everything is so open. You just have to go to certain websites on a regular basis to check what is happening. The government has given you so many websites today where the trade, you can check things and find out things. And things are changing by the month, by the calendar year, you can see. And it's a great world to get into. And India today is the story, not only of this decade, but I think for the next many decades to come.
As you rightly said, now worlds are at the tips of fingers. निकुंज जी, आप इचलकरंजी से आते हैं, वहाँ पर Tier 3 सिटी भी कहलाई जाती है, जैसे आप बोल रहे थे थोड़ी देर पहले. तो वहाँ पर आपका क्या प्लान है एक्सपांशन का, या what challenges are you facing in इचलकरंजी in the textile sector?
Ichalkaranji has a very, very strong weaving ecosystem. So we also follow what Sanjay ji has been saying, advocating. We have formed very strong partnerships with manufacturing partners. So हम लोग का भी business model ऐसा है कि हम लोग के पास में सिर्फ 15% manufacturing, 20% manufacturing है जो in-house है. 80 to 85% of my manufacturing is with our manufacturing partners. We have tied up with almost 30-40 units there. And directly and indirectly, I can proudly say we would be amongst the largest employers in the region. So we have a direct employee base of 1,200, and we would be providing job work to additional minimum, I think, 2,000 more people. So we have formed very strong partnerships, and we focus more on the product development and marketing side. We have a very strong vendor management team. We have very strong IT to manage the whole business. And we tie up with the job workers, because Ichalkaranji has a very strong job working culture in manufacturing. So we have that advantage of getting job work done from all the available units there. And that also gives us a very unique USP, which is flexibility in product. We are not married to 2 or 3 or 5 products. We have on an average about 1,000 different varieties of fabrics that we are doing. At any given point of time, we have minimum 70 to 100 different varieties under production. From Ichalkaranji, we are exporting to 20 countries worldwide. We have no office anywhere else, only Ichalkaranji. And I say this every time in Ichalkaranji when I talk to our colleagues, is all my foreign customers from Japan, Canada, Thailand, Korea, Bangladesh, USA have come to Ichalkaranji, और Ichalkaranji की गलियों में उनको मराठी खाना खिलाया है. So I think, yeah, even based out of Ichalkaranji, I think we can do everything that you want. Only thing, ऐसे panel discussions वहाँ नहीं होते.
प्रतीक जी, आपसे पूछना चाहेंगे कि आप क्या challenges face कर रहे हैं yarn manufacturing में आज की तारीख में? Or how do you address in the operations of yarn manufacturing?
See, I think the biggest challenge that we see with yarn manufacturing today is that, because again yarn manufacturing is also no different than the textile overall landscape. It's still 83% unorganized, and India, I think the number is that we have about 55 million spindles, and majority of that is still in the south. So when you deal with smaller players, ensuring quality, and more important than that, ensuring consistency of quality is very challenging. Right, so what the panel has been advocating, what we also strongly believe in is the partnership model. But one of the challenge with the partnership model is to identify the right player who can be your partner in progress. Right, so as you scale, you expect your partners also to kind of keep pace with you. And when I say pace, it's not usually just quantity, but it's starting with quality. And consistency of quality has been a major struggle for decentralized sector at least. I'm sure, when Nikunj is talking about the kind of outsourcing they do within Ichalkaranji, ensuring the right quality with the right lead time, I think he can better, put a context to that.
So I'll give you a very small example. Ichalkaranji has a 120-year-old history in weaving. we started our export journey only in 2014. And probably we are the largest, and probably 70% of the grey fabric exports from Ichalkaranji is contributed by us. Now, on the quality front, Ichalkaranji has installed the latest shuttle-less looms, which are the best in the world. So you do not have any other technology besides what is already available in Ichalkaranji, which is better anywhere else. But the mindset as a simple, one very small thing is, if you want a fixed length roll, you just have to put a entry on the display and you will get it. But even a basic practice like that was not followed by the viewers. And when we export to particular countries, they need a fixed length of the roll in the grey fabric. So it was my team which had to go and ensure that every single unit follows our discipline. Another thing is on the quality inspection side. Typically, when you inspect, there is an American 4-point system. We had to train our QCs. They had to go and inspect in other factories. So typical answer क्या होता है? मराठी में बोलते हैं, साहेब इतकं तर येणारच की, इतकं तर चालवायलाच पाहिजे. Now, how do you counter that? So I'll tell you what we did. So when आपका जब कपड़ा कोरिया जा रहा है, वहाँ पे खुल रहा है और प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, so they simply first thing say कि you Indians don't bother about quality. They don't say Ken, Ichalkaranji, or they simply say you Indians don't have any discipline on quality. Who is the one person who's finally responsible for quality? It is your QC. अब आप QC वो 20,000 कमाता है, 25,000 कमाता है, but he is the one who finally stamps okay, and his stamp is worth my reputation in Korea or Japan or whichever country the fabric goes to. तो जब उनसे बात करते हैं तो उनका टिपिकल ये होता है कि सर थोड़ा तो आएगा सर, इतना तो आएगा. तो वहाँ पे we had to create that some motivation, some aspiration, some identity we had to build. तो मैंने मेरे फैक्ट्री के बाहर इंडियन फ्लैग लगाया और उनको बोला कि when you enter this factory, look at the flag of the country, because अगर आपका कपड़ा वहाँ पे जाके रिजेक्ट होता है तो they don't care about you, they don't care about Ken. The first thing that they say is कि you Indians don't bother. So there were small practices, probably off the books, all that we initiated. And I think that has really helped us. So I will still tell you one more thing. My apparel factory has national anthem at 4:50 p.m. every single day, and 350 workers on that floor. They stop their work, sing the national anthem, and close for the day. So these are small practices that we are doing.
Yeah, but on a similar note, I think there are a lot of people here who are actually working with partners. Again, either on the forward side or the backward side. What is the single biggest challenge you face individually when you deal with the decentralized sector as a partner in progress?
Yeah, I only, mine is, I am a brand and all I do is deal with partners. Like I said, you said, sir, my job is designing and marketing and branding. The challenge, I want to ask you guys that how do you see your partners ensuring, how are brands ensuring, what are the best practices for brands ensuring quality control in India? What are...
See, first of all, you need to understand what drives your partner and what drives you. So the definition of your job and my job has to be very clearly understood when you enter into a collaboration or a partnership with anybody, because these are all unwritten partnerships and unwritten collaborations. There's no document to it, because if you go into documentation, then it's an endless process. They're great manufacturers, you're a great brand. So that differentiation line is very, very clear. Secondly, they always will look at it that you are earning more than them. That's the first thing that goes on in their mind, that because of me, this guy is earning. So it's a mindset, it's a human mindset. But then you have to make it sound very clear that we are all in this together. You need to work as efficiently as I can, because without you, I'm not able to sell, and without us, you're not able to manufacture. At the same time, how can we become more embedded in the business together? You need funding, because typically these collaborators or partners that you have are not, they're smaller people. They're all not even MSMEs, I would call them SMEs. So every time you talk to them, you'll realize that funding is very important for them. Secondly, all these collaborators and partners, they need money on a weekly basis because they need to pay labor end of the week. So if you are able to hit those buttons right, because they can't go to the banks and have that kind of a funding that you can have as a bigger player. So you get the funding right, you pay them on time, pay them advances, need we invest in their capex, make them so dependent and embedded in your system that they would not want to go anywhere else, and they become partners for life. I mean, we have got relationships going back into 20, 25, 30 years. Most of my colleagues, which I worked with in my old job, today I work with the same people. Either they are part of my team in the office, or they are part of my collaborators. We keep on adding more, but many of them are still with us today. And that is some of the buttons that we hit over a period of time. And they realize that, yes, if we work with Heather Gray, we're going to go in the long run. Money is never a criteria. We never rejected those goods. We never tried to make money out of them. Fair practices, timely practices, good relationships, quality control, control at their end, because we all, there's something else that we put in place is that, as my colleague was mentioning, we need to have your own quality control at these collaborators and partners. They are your eyes and ears, and that's where the stamping and the things come from. Because they might try to do whatever, but they need to be controlled. Any collaborator that you may have globally or elsewhere, how do you ensure the quality that you send as a brand? Because at the end of the day, your customer is going to catch you and not your. So quality control is a very important thing at the factory level. They'll make mistakes. The factory will try to pass on things, but it is your team which has to ensure that it doesn't get passed off. And it has to become a win-win situation end of the day. So that's what I would put in perspective.
Krishnaji, I'll add one more thing to what Sir said. You also need, so what we do with our garment outsourced business, we ensure their profitability. If I'm seeing that for a particular product, his efficiency is coming very low, I'll ensure my industrial engineer and QA in their factory, either you raise their productivity or raise the price that you are giving them, or you stop working with them. Because if he's not able to get his payroll for the end of the month, he will anyway not sustain it, and it's not worth your time and effort to work with a vendor like that. So your team has to be aware of the unit economics of the unit from where you are sourcing and ensure that that unit is profitable.
Sometimes it's $1 billion company and you have challenges there as well. So, but yeah, I mean, these are things that I think it's an iterative process, I think, like you said.
So I agree. What he had said is also genuinely important thing, because ultimately whosoever produces the things, there's a manual interventions are there, something may go wrong. But then you have to invest in like quality checkings and everything, that we have to ensure that thing. And we have to identify the correct partners, what are their previous track records and everything. So we can minimize it to a particular extent, but then you have your own parameters, you can check, you can put up your quality control peoples over there. When it comes, output comes, you can get it checked. So it's like 20, 25,000 people you can get it, and who can verify the products, parameters, what you have set, you are getting that product. So sometimes then also but these we can reduce to a reasonable extent. Means it's like 1-2% aberrations for everything will be there. But by setting up the systems and properly laid out norms, you can check, get the things done, identify your correct partner who are consistently providing you the things, you can minimize it. That only I can say.
Yeah, Pratik, you want to add something?
Since QC has been a common point everywhere, at least the factory, I've visited a few factories which actually
In
manufacture
textiles
for
and
larger
garments, sure.
brands. And most of these brands, what they do is they nominate one person in the QC who's actually on the brand's payroll, whose job is to ensure, quality products.
The right quality
So
is going.
in case working with decentralized sector is a problem, maybe you can nominate one person from your payroll to actually be there. It could be a shared resource. Suppose एक area में आप 10 factory चला रहे हो, so you don't need 10 people in all the factories. You can have one person who's visiting all these factories. Maybe it's a random testing, but that could be one way to avoid these things.
So I've been on the other end. Like we are doing big work for this local brand Biba. And Biba has got this very peculiar system. They'll have 5 components in a garment. Now these 5 components, they need to match. Suppose आपका front है, back है, so everything needs to be matched. And all the components are not printed together, and some are printed on flatbed, some are printed on rotary, and it's a reactive print. So normally you cannot make the color at one go. So we are facing this problem with them, and since we are on the other side, we are basically their supply partners. And they were very rigid that, no, unless all the components match, we will not be taking the shipments. So faced with this problem, as you said, they offered us, you take say 20% or 25% higher cost, but we are definitely not going to accept anything wherein all the components are not matching. So it was a win-win situation. We could foresee what the rejections will be, and they were ready to pay us. So this is how it goes. So in case if you're getting paid and you're serious about quality, I think definitely these things can be overcome. And this is a life example. I agree with all the panelists on this. Yeah.
Thank you. Nilay ji, please, आप बताइए कि what advice would you like to give to the new generation, and which is the textile product that you would advise is good for the future in the export segment or maybe in the domestic segment?
So I think textile product is good, means all products are good, means you have to excel in any type of products. So maybe it's apparel fabric, because I am more from apparel fabrics and home textiles business. So I can comment on that only, but I think yarn is also a good segment, even though volatility is there, commodity is there. But then you have your own way of doing the things, so persons had earned a lot. It's like two things, you want to be with fashion, which should be sustainable. So you invest in technology, innovation, new things you do. Then any product you identify, it's not in textile, in any field you go, but you have to excel in that thing. That only I can say right now. Which product, it's everything is going on, moving on. It's bed sheets are going very good in Indian market as well as US market. It is a big demand for their solid, dyed, all these things. Indian market is for printing. When we come to apparel fabric, shooting, shirtings, means by brand you can provide the latest things, means wrinkle free. And a lot of changes had happened. How you do innovation, it should be moisture management, far infrared, like a lot of patent now is getting developed on these things. So you continue to evolve yourself to provide the latest things, means first mover advantage definitely you will get. So in any field you go, not only in textiles, you have to excel, you have to think something different, and you have to provide something new to the customers. There only you will get the benefit of first mover advantage.
Correct. Thank you. Sanjay ji, what are your plans for future growth and expansion of your apparel exporting business?
I personally feel that we still just touch the tip of the iceberg of the market that we are into, or the market segment that we are into. The whole world is open. All the brands that we deal with, there are many more brands that we can still touch. It's just a question of expanding the capacities and reaching all these brands, because you increase capacities, you need to really get the sales, or you get the sales and increase the capacities. It's always a chicken and egg story. So no specific plans, except for the fact that at the moment we haven't touched the US market, because it works on a little different supply chain model than the other markets that we deal with. So our immediate plans are to enter the US market and grow the numbers over there, because US can have an exponential growth. And from our country, there are hardly anybody who has entered in our trade, the US market, specific to my trade. I mean, apparel, yes, but within apparel, you have various segments. So our trade has not really entered the US market directly. So that is a big market that we are eyeing, of course. Basis that, we will look at our capacity expansion and stuff like that. So there are global brands and there are local brands again. So we are also looking at both angles, whether we can also go to the local brands who are smaller in numbers, but big enough for us to service. So it's a combination of a combined strategy that we are looking at the numbers going forward, being in the business for 20 years now, that we know that our basics are right, our product is right, product is acceptable in the market, the pricing is acceptable, the quality, etc. So I think the way forward for us is to keep on looking at markets which have a need for our product. Again, considering the situation that India is, India has not faltered on their commitments during the COVID. That's what the world recognizes. The Ukraine war and the Russia issues have not really impacted India. So again, a lot of movement from China has happened to India. This China One policy is again helping. Because again, I feel that the US as a strategy is not very pro-China anymore. And the day China One actually becomes a reality, I don't know how many goods will be taken to the US market from China and maybe Europe. Though again, these countries are not that you can rely on from the long run. You know, they say something today and they change their things tomorrow, including Russian oil for that matter, you know. They say no Russian oil, no Russian energy, but backdoor they're taking all the Russian oil and all the Russian energy from Russia. So sometimes their policies are not as black and white as they sound in the newspapers. But nevertheless, it's a consumer market, there's a big market, and they have the numbers. So one has to look at those numbers and create your strategies as you go.
Thank you so much. Krishnaji, would you like to add? What are your growth strategies? And what would you like to give some advice to the new entrepreneurs?
You know, in terms of, I think, in terms of advice to entrepreneurs, I think there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur in India. You know, I've moved back from the US after 8 years, and I've never regretted a moment, right? So I think that there's no better place. You know, when I moved back, there was a saying, so I read it somewhere. Somebody from IMF said, if you're 30, then you should be in Brazil or India. And I took that very seriously, and I moved back. So didn't regret a moment. I think in terms of you know, help, I think people like to help people, so feel free to reach out to people. It's amazing how easy it is to just ask for help. And you know, in terms of what I plan to do with Tego and where we see the future is, I think we are very single-minded. We're very focused. I think that what we want to create is we want to create the best platform for discerning and quality-minded, fitness mindset consumers in the country. So that's the goal. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Audience, please, questions. Yeah. Table number 4. Please, Mike. Yes, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So my question is actually to all the panelists. Textile industry is one of the highest polluter in the world, and textile dyeing is the second largest polluter of water globally. So as the tycoons in the textile industry, my question is to all the panelists as to what initiatives your company is taking to address the bigger issue, the bigger picture globally, that is pollution, global warming, and environmental hazards, which textile industry is contributing. And what initiatives are you taking on personal level to change the lifestyle which is leading towards hazards to the environment? So my question is to all the panelists.
Yeah, please, Amit ji would like to answer.
I think this is the need of the hour and one of the most relevant questions. And what we are working on, why I took lead in answering is because we are working on it on a daily basis. Having a mill and directly contributing to the pollution. And what steps have we been taking at the personal level as well as at the industry level. So I'll just share the views or what the steps are being taken. What the scenario was 10 years back was, जो भी पानी आ रहा है, it was drained off. Symbolically, there was a CETP, that is a common effluent treatment plant, which was there in every MIDC, but it was not working, working only for the sake of showing it to the officials. Current scenario, जो last, in fact, 2-3 साल से है, and in fact, since last 6 months, what we have been doing is, number one, at least the CETP, I can throw light in so far as the MIDC Dombivli is working on it, is the CETP capacity is being expanded to double. The government approvals are definitely taken, and in a year's time, that will be done. That is number one at the association level. Now, individual level, we have been implementing currently whatever discharge is being done from each unit or each mill is a colorless discharge, which couple of years back कोई आके बोलता कि colorless पानी छोड़ना है, तो we used to say कि it is impossible, like dyeing का colored पानी या printing का colored पानी, how is it possible कि it becomes colorless? So every unit is having a primary treatment plant. In that, with the help of the good technology, usage of correct chemicals, and slight modifications to the existing plant, we are able to achieve 100% colorless discharge. This is the primary treatment. Now the entire primary treatment lines are connected to the CETP plant. At the CETP level, again, they are checking for the norms that the water which is being discharged is controlled insofar as pH is concerned, so far as the dye is concerned, whether the water is having any dyes or no. Apart from this, just to monitor, because see this at personal level, people may think that we are vigilant or we want to contribute something to the environment, but not everyone may be having that type of thinking. So the COD and BOD, that is the basic norms for a discharge of water, those online parameters, online gadgets have been installed everywhere now. Sitting at the MPCB office, the officials can see that what kind of water is being discharged. We have installed, this is the development of last 1 month, wherein each mill has been instructed to install the COD and BOD meter. Now whatever water is being discharged will be controlled and monitored whether it is within the norms as specified by the MPCB or it is not. There are auto valves which is installed, which is connected to this device. In case, if the water exceeds these norms, those valves will close down automatically. So basically your mill will not be able to discharge any water because the valves are closed down. So this is what at individual level people are following, and at definitely even at the industry level and the association levels. And this is the development of in last 1 year, wherein जो पूरा color का पानी जा रहा था उससे colorless water has been to be discharged. COD, BOD parameters are getting controlled, pH is controlled, and definitely I think ETPs all over the MIDCs are expanding their capacity to accommodate any further or any extra discharge which people may be doing illegally. So this is what I can throw the picture on as so far as your question is concerned.
Thank you, sir.
So I will also add to what he had said. Right now, I think technology has changed a lot. It's a zero discharge system, ETP system is there. I think anaerobic and something or more chemicals are added. So it's like on the other way, it's a zero discharge, nothing will get discharged, everything is there which is evaporated, and whatever fresh waters you are getting, you can do beautiful housekeeping of the gardening or something you can do. Apart from that, 10% whatever sludge is left, that is also used for a power plant in our company. And we have to only take briquettes 90%, 10%. That's what I'm saying. Technology is changing very fast. You have to be fast. So there's no discharge, zero discharge. And then from sustainability perspective, and when we are supplying to brands, we are also ensuring the chemicals which are harmless, which are not harmful to the body or dyes or chemicals, anything in water also. So all these things, I think latest trends are coming, and every industries will come with these terms. So.
So you spoke about, Nilay sir, you spoke about globalization What you spoke about globalization in your previous statements, and that India can contribute a lot in upcoming time in globalization. But recent news in the recent news articles, it was read that all the other countries, major countries are shutting their textile houses or dyeing units because it is contributing to the pollution of their nation. But India is itself promoting textile a lot, and as some other panelists also said, that textile is going to be the next revolution for India. So won't it cause a great burden on Indian environment, I mean environment of our Indian subcontinent, and wouldn't we be like pressurized under pollution due to these discharges? Because in the end, we'll be the global supplier, like others have said, that will be the global suppliers of the future. So this burden, how will we manage as a nation while handling the environment of our country? And is there any solution to it as to what us youngsters can, how we can contribute into this by being at the top in the textile industry, yet not causing hazard to the environment?
So I have said for globalization, globalization in the way you are genuinely taking care of the environment and all those things. So we have taken a challenge like by 2050 we should be carbon neutral. What are generating pollutions like coal-based power plants? Instead of that, we are coming to solar-based or wind-based mill plants. So these all are contributing less. These all are doing. And then I have said for ETP plant also, कि zero discharge system is there, whatever sludge and everything is there, that also used in producing power in-house, which is reducing the cost also. I can also share you example, means whatever sludge were generated during these periods of ETP. What we have done, we have installed one machines and put up that briquettes like that type of things, and we have constructed our new industry at knitting plant. So that's why I'm again emphasizing, technology is changing a lot. When you go to any of the, as a youngster, you go to all these type of fairs, trades where new machines are introduced, you will learn a lot of things, what new are going on. So India is doing very fast, very good, and big corporates are working on all those aspects which government is announcing. And whatever governments are supporting for 2050 carbon neutral, what are there? Our corporate as well as big corporates all are following those things. And when I say water, whatever is there, we do plantation. That also we are contributing to the world at large pollution level, because plant also controls that thing. So just set a parameter. Don't take 2-3 year target. Take targets for 20, 30 years. I think we will not say after 10 years, 15 years that it is the most polluting. I understand it's a capital intensive, but then returns we will get. And when you are saying that other mills are closing down, then requirement will be more or less in India, it will build up. If other countries are closing down the industry, requirement is same, so demand supply will come into picture, and gradually our demand will increase. So I think investment is there, but outcome will be there in time to come.
Okay, any more questions, please? Yeah.
To all the panels. Okay. Am I audible?
Am I audible? Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah. So, मेरा सवाल एकदम simple है, as you said, कि you have partners basically. Don't have their own setups and you believe in partnership and all, but there may be season, let it be domestic or exports. Every market has a season. Like in India, if you say Ramzan was a season, after that the market slowed down. Diwali the season, Diwali was slow down होता है वैसे. If you go in exports, spring, autumn, winter, there is season. In factories के साथ you are getting tied up. If you don't give them regular business, somebody else will try to connect them. 100%. In this industry, I would say this industry, how you tackle that difficulties?
I can just speak for my segment of the industry. हमारी इंडस्ट्री में और माई सेगमेंट ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री में सीजन्स होते नहीं हैं. We don't have autumn, winter or whatever. It's just one season throughout the year. And that is one of the reasons we have good partners. Because they feel that There is never a dip in the supply. We make uniforms. So there's no season to uniforms. But that is my...
In India, for example, there's a uniform season also. In the month of May, June, normally in India, the uniform season is in the peak. The people who are into uniform business start from Jan. Till June, they need to give the delivery. And after that, what they do?
You're talking about the school business.
Any business.
No, only the school. School typically starts in May, June, so people start manufacturing in Jan. So in India, yes, I do agree. But at the same time, there are many schools and many options that you have that you need to keep on stocking for the sale during the year as well. But then you can manufacture for other industries.
Yeah, that only. How you tackle that?
So I'm not in the schools business at the moment.
Like in corporates also, now see, I know many corporates, they buy season, like in the start of the year, they have months, in this month will change the uniform.
So you got to get 12 corporates, so who buys every month something, you know.
जो संजय जी ने बोला उसका वन वर्ड में आंसर है, यू हैव टू बिल्ड योर मार्केटिंग अकॉर्डिंगली. अगर इंडिया में रमज़ान है, होली है और दिवाली है, तो उसमें अपैरल अलग होता है, होम टेक्सटाइल अलग बिकता है, गारमेंट एक्सपोर्टर है, वो अगर ऑस्ट्रेलिया का अगर समर केटर कर रहा है तो उसका समय अलग है, यूएस का समर अलग है, यूरोप का समर अलग है. तो आपको आपकी मार्केटिंग स्प्रेड आउट करनी पड़ेगी. And it's an endless journey. Every single day is a new day and you have to fight the battle every single day if you are in the fashion side.
But in current scenario, if you see, the whole garment industry is in the bad shape. If you talk about today, if we talk today, today is 29th of April. There's many garment factories all over the country are having a bad shape. Anywhere in India.
So that is true for...
40%, 40%, 60%, none of the factories, like before April, you go in March or sometime, we used to do 18 hours, 16 hours.
I would like to have a list of those factories because we need capacities. So I want to meet offline and I want that list from your network because we are in need of a lot of factories who are not doing well.
So what you have asked, one thing I can add, from long-term perspective, you make a contract with the company, 60-70% you block the limits of those companies because the corporates, they have a continuous process irrespective of the seasons because each different countries have different seasons. They are supplying to different countries. So if you block 60-70% and 20-30%, you can play your game on customized products or making the earnings. Then you can better even out for throughout the year how your capacities are running. That is also one of the way apart from what everyone had said.
But in textile, if you like tie up with Reliance, for example, they don't take the deliveries. What will do?
That is why you need to have multiple customers. You can't tie up only with the Reliance. That is why you need to have a strategy where you have niche players, big players, corporates, all kinds of things to kind of balance your risk. You can't get married to somebody because that is easy money. You say Reliance के साथ काम करेंगे अभी सोचने का जरूरत नहीं है. Lot of people, I know a lot of people. I have a different view because I know some people. I'm not in the same industry as Reliance is, but I know a lot of people who are very happy with Reliance. They are running 500,000 machines only for Reliance for the last 5, 7, 8 years, and going forward, they're very happy working with it. But so you have different views based on your relationships, based on, because ultimately competition is always going to be there. Stories like Future Group, when 20, 30 years, people made money with Future Group, right? Now Future Group band ho gaya, but you have to see the writing on the wall when things were going wrong. How do you take the step back? Again, sentiments. People get very married to something. Nothing can go wrong. You got to see the writing on the wall when you need to take a step back, change your strategy, and go into a different marketing plan or whatever. So we need to be very nimble on our feet to keep on changing. You will have the future groups. You'll have a lot of stories like this going around. Why? Cafe Coffee Day. Could you imagine going bankrupt? Right? One of the best stories that India had as a domestic brand 1,600 stores of coffee being served across the country. The largest today is Starbucks, which is 330 stores with a Tata Group at the backing. So you have to have time to create that brand. Suppliers to that coffee brand went bust. Banks lost a lot of money, people lost a lot of money. Every trade had its own cycles, but you need to time the things well and step back when you can step back. That is very important when you're running a business.
इसमें एक पॉइंट ऐड करता हूं मैं आपको, जो सर ने कहा कि द राइटिंग वाज ऑन द वॉल. अगर आप फ्यूचर ग्रुप का बोलते हो, किसी का भी देखते हो, तो ऑनेस्टली आप इंट्रोस्पेक्ट करिए कि कितने लोगों को डिजास्टर होता हुआ नहीं दिख रहा था, बट सब लोग फॉलो करते हैं ग्रेटर फूल थियरी. सबको लगता है कि मैं बच के निकल जाऊंगा और कोई इसमें फंस जाएगा. और सेकेंड, एक सिंपल वेरी प्रैक्टिकल थिंग आई विल टेल यू, why don't we use domestic credit insurance? There are insurance products available in the market at 15.15% to 0.2%. Why don't we use that and de-risk ourselves? Why do we feel that a company like a Future or anybody else cannot go bankrupt? Probably Pratik can share, one of his biggest vendors is Trident. Trident will, without taking credit insurance on any customer, वो अगर रिलायंस को भी अगर शिप करता है तो क्रेडिट इंश्योरेंस के बगैर ट्राइडेंट किसी को शिप नहीं करता है. So these are simple business policies we need to learn from these guys and adopt.
You have certain tools like this even for the export market. EPCG and various tools are there for de-risking yourself on credit. So what happens in India happens globally all the time, especially in the US. Chapter 14 is very normal over there. Capitalist versus socialist economy. यहाँ पे तो थोड़ा protection है. In US there is no protection. So a lot of people have gone bust and bankrupt over the years. As they say, na, if US sneezes, the world gets a cold. Especially the developing world gets a cold. India को बहुत जुकाम हुआ है. Because of people going bankrupt in the US, a lot of exporters from the country have got affected. But yes, I mean, that is the nature of any business for that matter. You got to keep on keeping your eyes open and de-risk yourself with whatever tools are there and keeping an open mindset. Never be sentimental about what you see. You know?
Yeah. Hi, Krishna. Yeah. What is your thought process behind designing the brand name Tego, and does it resemble anything?
It means to protect and to cover. Our first product was a towel, believe it or not, and it came out of a pain point. So, you know, one thing I say, if I knew I was going to be in retail, I would have never quit my job. But it's the most addictive kind of, profession I can think of, right? Because to have a product out there and a consumer using your product is the most exciting thing. So when we launched it, it was an antimicrobial towel. It came out of a pain point. My co-founder is a textile engineer, by the way. He was my roommate back in the US. He used to work on F-16 wire harnessing and making tiles for the US Army and things like that out of textiles and things like that. And I was with him and I said, hey, I'm getting rashes. And I was a bit of a germaphobe. After 2020, I'm not. But, I said, hey, I'm getting a lot of rashes. Is there a way to put an antimicrobial? I had read about staph infection and, antimicrobial technologies. And he said, yeah, man, I know the best one. At that time, it was Microban, and we reached out. And so that I don't know if you know the logo. So it's a T and a shield. Tego means to protect and to cover, and I think it comes from toga. So toga, towel, yeah.
I'd just like to add something to the seasonal business that you mentioned. Let's take one more business, which is rainwear. You have raincoats, umbrellas, bags. We deal with a few of them. They have manufacturing round the clock, 365 days. Yes, there is season because, yes, the stuff will be required in a certain season, whether it is school uniforms or rainwear. But they manage the business in such a way that the factories are occupied 12 months of the year, but there are spikes. You'll not see any rainwear manufacturer not manufacturing in the lean months. He's always preparing for things to come. So it's always a game of averaging out in a seasonal business which is there. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, yes. As he also mentioned that Australia mein summer hai to baki jagah winter hai, and you got to balance it out in a way. Plus, in the fashion business, there are some products called commodities. A round neck t-shirt is a 12-month product because even in seasons, you have first layer, second layer, third layer. The first layer will always be used. Undergarments for that matter. There's no season in undergarments, right? As we all know. So you got to identify which product is seasonal and which is not seasonal, and how do you balance the non-seasonal products. So commodities like, as I said, a round neck t-shirt in 10 colors, which you get in the market, a basic white shirt or a basic Oxford shirt. There are various things which are always on the shelf round the year. It's only fashion which changes. Again, Zara has masterminded the fashion business. Zara replaces their product on the shelf every month. It doesn't go by the season, it goes by the fashion. Their claim to fame, I think you should Google and check the claim to fame story of Zara. Everybody, I think a lot of people in the textile trade know about it. How they changed this business of fashion and season. They would get a certain product on the table, like it, make it, ship it. Not worrying about the fashion, not worrying about the season. Even if you go to a local Zara store, I don't think you go there because you see a season. You go there because you see the fashion. So, jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. It's as very simple as that. And this seasonal thing has become very more relevant to the Western world. India mein to koi season hota hi nahi hai. You just have the north season where you have the woolens and stuff like that. But everybody wears a polo shirt, a round neck, and a basic check shirt and stuff like that. Western world में second layer, third layer का जो concept आता है, तब season आता है concept में. Unless and until you are in the outerwear business, that affects you more. But again, you can manage that business depending upon which market you are servicing.
I just got a point. You should look at the activewear business. That's one of the things that attracted me, right? So, like socks, underwear, round necks, hoodies, all of that. So, it's a very seasonal agnostic kind of business, at least in India.
Yeah, please, questions.
I have a question for all the panelists. I would appreciate if you all can throw some light on digital transformation in the textile industry. I'm going somewhat off the subject, but what is the role and what are the challenges in implementation for the digital transformation in textile industry? With everyone can have their own perspective. Thank you.
I think it's something which got missed out today. I think it's interesting that you brought it up. Today, the world has become digital. And without digital transformation in our respective fields that we are in, survival is impossible. Things are moving at such a pace, whether it is pollution control norms, as he mentioned, that if there is a certain extra effluent going, the machine will shut down. That is digital transformation at a very basic level. So each industry has got digital inputs to kind of make efficiencies better. Why are we doing digital is because efficiencies become better. Many years ago, when the banking industry, computers were introduced, the first, and most of the banks those days were PSUs. The first reaction by the unions was that we will lose our jobs. Now, when you look back, how many jobs in the banking industry got lost? They've multiplied geometrically over the years. So first of all, you have to get this fear out that any digital transformation is going to reduce jobs. As a matter of fact, it will increase jobs and make us more efficient. From my industry and my trade, specifically digital transformation at a very basic level, we will call it implementation of ERP systems, wherein everybody in the organization gets connected. So whether you have a SAP or you have, these are the brand names that we talk about, SAP and Oracle, but obviously those are 5 crore, 10 crore packages which small companies cannot afford. So you have a lot of these startups which have come around in the last few years, which offer you customized packages to run your organizations. It's as simple as a Tally, for example. Everybody knows Tally over here. How Tally has revolutionized the accounting software side of the business. All those books that we used to have of writing manually, Kalwa Devi times, right? So all those have gone redundant. We have computers using Tally. Tally is nothing but an ERP, end of the day. Now using the same concept, how do you run a business, whether it is textiles or any other business? You have to connect your sourcing to your operations, to your logistics, to your accounting, everybody under one platform, so that information sharing is immediate, real time, and the most cost efficient way of transferring data to each department rather than, so it becomes errorless, it becomes transparent, it becomes real time. So every company is working toward digital transformation to survive in this trade, at whatever small level you may call. I mean, a Century must be working in crores, some of us must be working in lakhs, but all of us are aware of that and we have to work towards that. Everybody wants a smartphone, right? That is digital transformation at a very basic level. Can you go back to your old days when you had those other phones, the CDMAs and the other things? You cannot. Today you need that WhatsApp, you need all those things, which is technically a digital transformation at a different level. Organizations are working at a digital level. All your banking is at your fingertip. So every industry has to get into digital transformation, whether it's textile or anybody else, at whatever level, a corporate manufacturing level, or a basic outsourcing level, or an online level for that matter. I mean, nobody better than my colleague will talk about digitalization.
I mean, like Sir said, the business of business remains the same, right? So I think in terms of touch points, how digital transformation affects a business, all the way from the minute someone in my industry clicks a button, all the way down to how I'm looking at my inventory, and how ultimately it comes down to data integrity, right? That's what everybody's looking at, the right data, and everybody's looking at the same data at the same time. So that's in any industry for that matter. That's the single thread that the data integrity is what I look at it, and actionable data. Like, does your MIS actually make sense, and can you use it?
I think this is an ongoing process. It's not like overnight there is a digital transformation. It has been going on since quite a few years, and it is going to go on for coming period. Like, the manual machines have been replaced by the PLC control machines. What people used to control the steam in the machines using the valves or the quality using the manual valves, that has been replaced by the PLC controlled machines, wherein the number of people, the labors have been reduced and accuracy has increased. So this is an ongoing process, and suppose PLC control machines, and maybe down the years you may see that they may change completely and some new technology may come. So this has been going on since last few years, and definitely it is there to stay and move on further. So it is an ongoing process. It has already started and it will go on further, definitely. We cannot survive without that.
So I think all panelists had summarized it very well. It's an online real-time information tracking. And if you say for production planning, for manufacturing processes, like before that it's like shift closes, then you read everything. It's online, anytime you can get it. And you can make your planning also. So digitization, it will be a continuous process and it will evolve. Right now my person sitting at USA, they can see what product I am preparing, what are the styles, and then they can give the orders, and then we can send the swatches or something like that to them. So it will evolve and it will increase beyond what right now it is. And it is helping businesses to make their MIS, to identify what are the cost benefit analysis, contribution of each and every product, because textile industry, if you see, it's a one input, cotton is there when I am talking about, and our output is multiples. So you need to know, okay, what is making me profitable, which product I prepare, because it's our, you have different processes while processing also if you do. So it's a 10 processes. If you eliminate 1-2 process, what are the costings? If you do dyes very dark shades or something you use, your costing improves a lot. So digitization helps in all these things, and that is the demand of the day, not only in textile, in all the businesses, I think so.
Yeah, I can tell you from my experience when I started talking to yarn buyers and suppliers कि yarn बाजार करके concept चालू करना और online आप लोग खरीदोगे बेचोगे और वो भी 100% advance दोगे. In our market, people are used to 60-90 days of credit. Imagine like a young boy asking those people कि आप अभी हमसे काम करो online और 100% advance payment दो, right? वो every meeting ended up with the same conclusion कि I was thrown out of their office. And then there came a point where I would lose respect for someone who didn't throw me out of office. Right? And I can tell you 2020 to 2021, that one financial year, which was completely during COVID, which was our first full financial year, at the Yarn Bazaar, we did more than 100 crore business when weavers paid us 100% advance. In a scenario where you would expect that lockdown ho gaya, to logo liquidity crisis hoga. So I think it's one thing to sit and say कि industry में digital inclination या penetration नहीं है. But from where I am sitting, I can tell you that most people are actually looking at digital across the entire landscape, right? You've heard of digital stories. It's not just how you buy products or how you get delivered. It's also how you manage your internal reports, how you manage your efficiency, how you communicate within your organization. So digital penetration is now across all your functions of your organization.
I am more interested in what challenges you are facing and how you are dealing with
it. Sometimes when you automate everything, you still need to accounting में बोलते हैं you still need a maker checker. So you gotta everything automated, everything it's not always all correct. So the next step is making sure that you've bought like we're big on Amazon, right? And my CA refused to sign the report because he says I feel like you're an Amazon company because all the ledgers when it comes in a certain way. So you try to, and that's just one example, but many times, data doesn't flow the right way. Data doesn't flow, you get, there's a lot of false positives, there's a lot of, double entries of the same data. So there is that, you can't just say कि मैंने एक system खरीद लिया तो it's working the way it's supposed to work. There is ultimately, there is a reconciliation that goes into, to put in a crudely way, there is a recon that has to go through. Whether you're looking at inventory or whether you're looking at sales or you're looking at any part of the business process. So you can't take it for granted कि मैंने खरीद लिया तो it's going to work. Even if it's SAP, there's going to be some mistakes. Anybody else?
Yeah. More questions? Yeah, please. Mike.
Textile का एक part we have discussed, that is like from the end of a manufacturer. But there is a larger picture wherein we haven't discussed the point through the mindset of a consumer. Like previously, Sanjay sir said that there is no season, there are seasons in outside India, but there are no seasons in India. वहाँ पे double layers का concept है. But today we see it is summer season and a lot of us are wearing a layer over us. Because even if it is summer, season यहाँ पर भी वही चल रहा है जो वहाँ चल रहा है because of the generation, because they ruled the minds previously. But इतने सालों बाद, आज़ादी के भी इतने सालों बाद में हमारा वो mindset अभी भी चल रहा है. Formal wear के नाम पे हम गर्मी में भी जैकेट पहनते हैं, ट्रिपल लेयर्स पहनते हैं, टाई पहनते हैं, इवन इफ वी आर सफोकेटिंग. So as a consumer point of view, what initiative can we take to change this mindset of the consumer of India? Wherein even today we are talking that we are the third largest democracy in the world. You said that the textile of India is going to be the future. But ये textile क्या उन्हीं western mindsets के mind से चलेगा? Even if we become the largest producers of textile tomorrow, बट हम प्रोड्यूसर्स किसके लिए बन रहे हैं? उनके लिए बन रहे हैं, लेकिन बना भी उन्हीं के तरीके से रहे, उन्हीं के माइंडसेट के लिए, उन्हीं की चॉइसेस के हिसाब से रहे. So when will that time come when we as the producers will change the scenario all over the world? What consumers can do, you as a consumer, what initiative are you taking to change this scenario?
I think going by your previous questions and your current question, you're talking from a very macro perspective, which is a very nice perspective that you have brought to the audience and to all of us. Yes, we are catering to the global demand. I would not say only Western or anything, or Indian. We are catering to a demand. Could be domestic, could be export. Any industry will do that globally. We are not different. We are all entrepreneurs. We are all here to run a business. And businesses are run based on trends and global demand. We are not creating the demand. We are fulfilling a demand. We are not going and telling anybody that you wear single layer, double layer or triple layer. It is the consumer who decides what he wants to wear. And if there is a demand in the market, we are catering to that demand. Whether it is a printed fabric, which talking about wastage, if 25% wastage is acceptable to a brand because the print has to match in the 5 panels of the garment, so be it. That is a demand and that is a need of the hour for that business to survive. If the business survives, the people survive, the workers survive, and the economy survives. So it's all a circular economy of any business or any product that you take up. And it's a demand-supply equation end of the day. Whether it is polluting, non-polluting, are we creating a fashion statement, are we creating excess production which is spoiling the planet, that individual businesses cannot decide. That is again demand driven. But when you say single layer, double layer, summer mein bhi pehante hain, obviously we do not wear the, to answer the second part of your question, the second layer we do not wear in places outside the sun, outside our homes. It is only to events over here that we are kind of wearing a second layer. As soon as we reach out, we will remove that second layer. It's not comfortable end of the day, right? You will use a raincoat when you go outside, right? You will need a raincoat. So you have to, so people are practical, people use what is necessary to be used. But yes, global demand of apparel has gone down. People have become more conscious about the numbers that they are buying. People have become more simple in their lifestyles, especially the younger generation. If you see the wardrobe of a younger generation today, I have a son who's 26 years old, and I've been monitoring his wardrobe over the last 8 years since he has started buying on his own. I see his wardrobe is lesser than my wardrobe. I have to push him to buy clothes. And I'm not talking only about him. I notice all his friends, they become more simple in their lifestyle. So that is a trend which is happening globally as well. That's why the demand has gone down. India mein to, if you look at fabric, you ultimately buy your utensils with the fabric, right? जो भी घर में कपड़े बच जाते हैं, आप क्या करते हो उसका? आपकी मदर वो तो संभाल के रखती हैं कि दिवाली में किसी को दूंगी, या फिर वो बर्तन बेचने वाले आएंगे तो मैं बर्तन से एक्सचेंज करूंगी. फ्यूचर ग्रुप, बिग बाजार, all these outlets in the country were always telling you, please give your apparel, please take something in exchange. इंडिया में तो वो मोजा भी जो है आपके पोछे में काम आता है. My wife has stopped going to somebody's house because one day she went to the kitchen and she saw that they were cleaning the utensils with a used sock. So in India, the recycle nature is very, very predominant, which is a good thing that we have in this country. Western countries में वो भेजते, that's what he's saying, the landfill of those countries are, because they just throw it away. They buy so much, and it's a consumer's economy. India is becoming a consumer's economy because the standard of living has gone up, the per capita incomes have gone up. But that is the nature of when you move from a developing country to a developed country. We'll have to accept certain facts, but at the same time not lose focus on the planet, lose focus on the wasteful expenditure. Forget textiles. All of us know about EV cars. What is your first impression of an EV car? Is it good for the planet?
Well, first impression is, of course, it's good for planet.
Right. Now you go back into the manufacturing process. Forget the manufacturing for 2 minutes. To use an EV car, what do you need? Electricity? Electricity कहाँ से आएगी? In this country, from coal. You need coal to generate electricity. India is today importing coal. We are coal deficient. And carbon emission to convert coal to electricity is huge. So when we call about carbon emission, that is contributing to that if you are buying an EV vehicle today. The manufacturing of the lithium battery is a very high pollutant industry by itself. So if you are trying to save the planet by buying an EV car, you are mistaken. It is making you feel good कि मैंने कुछ contribute किया है. That technology is still to evolve. Your Maruti cars over the years last you for 10, 20 years at least nowadays, right? A battery-driven car will not last you for more than 10 years because like your phone battery, it dies slowly, steadily every year. So 10 साल में you have to do away with the car, and replacing the battery is equal to the cost of the car after 10 years. But your earlier cars, you would use it for more number of years, though it is a combustible engine. So every industry has its positives and negatives. We are talking about textiles today, but car manufacturing, the number of cars on the road, the pollution on the road. So the question is, are we trying to ape the Western world by buying cars? क्योंकि हमारी गाड़ियाँ भी उनको देख के आ रही है ना यहाँ पे. So there are no easy answers to your question, though the questions are very relevant. But each of us have to contribute in a certain way to save the planet, because ultimately your questions are around saving the planet.
I'll give you one last thing without extending this too long, but basically, we sell a 3,000 rupee yoga mat, just to give you an example. And the rationale there is buy less but buy better. And ultimately, India mein, ultimately it's a time, जब अपने landfill खत्म हो जाएंगे. Or why do we have all of a sudden have biodegradable bags? We never, most of US doesn't have biodegradable bags, but we do, because our landfills are getting filled. Why is Europe so stringent? Because they have no land. So I think it's just a question of time that consumers are having this mindset of buy less but buy better.
Yeah, so to ask you one question again is, like you are in activewear and fitness, and people are more focused towards sustainability. As you said, consumers are getting aware day by day. But in fitness industry, it's seen that synthetic material is used at a very high rate, whereas the future generation who is literally getting focused towards sustainability, is it a threat to the activewear industry because of lack of sustainable materials?
So there are a couple of things, right? There are a couple of things that we're also learning from Western brands. One is, in India, what's the worst thing that is there in activewear, or just in general wear today, is lycra. That's probably the one thing that can't break down. Today there are brands that say, they're sustainable, but that's like 1% bamboo and 99% polyester. So who are you joking? So there's this whole, that we're working on this campaign right now. It's like, it's a greenwashing based campaign. That what is sustainable? What is sustainability? And what we say is we may not be sustainable, but we're sure as hell responsible. So, one interesting thing that we're working on right now is also working on cotton, and how do you make cotton, perform as well as polyester. So, these are things that we're working on, and a lot of activewear brands are working on this as well.
Boss, आपके questions सारे बहुत अच्छे, आप chat GPT use तो नहीं कर रहे हो ना?
No, I don't.
That is digitalization. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the questions. And I would just like to add here, if somebody here have their textile business and want to get some advice or get connected with our panelists, they can just explain their textile business in just a minute, please, if anybody wants to do that. Yeah, please, go ahead.
I don't have a background in textile, but a deep interest I had, and so I started with a young startup of a sustainable brand, which I'm trying to establish. Like as all of you said, that it's a bigger dream to achieve, and it's easier said than done to get totally sustainable, and getting the resources all together to make a sustainable brand, that to Indian, and dreaming it to make it a luxurious brand. Because I feel, so I'll just share an incident, is that recently at a fabric sourcing fair, there was a big hoarding saying sustainability is the future. And I went inside and you couldn't find anything sustainable inside. Yes, they had God certification and everything, but then when I asked them that what material do you have, it's like, you just get, this is our business card, you just get onto it. But because they didn't really themselves understand what sustainable means. They just had the certification. They had no materials on display. They had nothing to say about it. They had no product which were they were selling, or they had no partners they were working with already on sustainability. While the larger demand in outside India is lying in sustainable fashion or anything sustainable, vegan, we are still producing for them. So I came up with this idea and trying to establish it, trying to bring in all art forms of India also together, working on khadi, working on organic cotton and organic fibers. And so my small startup is known as Amtor meaning the usual. And by meaning it, I want to add a paradox to it. So paradox is that name is Amtor, but we want to make it the next normal. So the next normal should be sustainability. That's the concept.
I like your idea. Meet me offline. We'll be a good collaboration together.
Sure, sir. And just adding to it that I don't have a background in textile, so would be really requiring mentorship and guidance of all the people like you. And hence my request is to not only all you panelists, but to all the influential people in the textile industry is to adopt just one startup, since India is coming up as a budding startup hub. Whereas, but startups don't have mentors or guidances, especially in textile industry. We are literally just working on bringing in new fast fashion, but there are no mentors suggesting us for slow fashion or recyclable fashion or anything like that. So we really need experienced mentors and guides like you.
I'm there for you.
Thank you, sir.
So
Means
you
a lot.
already got a connect. Anybody? Yes. Table number 2, please.
Hello, I'm Ravi. So basically I am into industrial fabrics. So industrial fabrics are majorly used in luggage industry and other type of industry. So the main competition out we get is China. So the material is heavily imported from China, and out here we're not able to compete the pricing. So that's the major thing that we, held up.
The challenge is the scale. The scale at which China produces and the specialization of their scale is into lakhs and millions of meters, and the cost of production is so low because of that. India, unfortunately, has not gone to the level of manufacturing industrial fabrics competitively. So China still remains far ahead on that particular product segment or market segment. Having said that, you'll have to find your niches, because your numbers will be, I don't know what the numbers are, but I presume they're not as much as the China manufacturing number. So if you just tell me which industry are you in from an industrial fabric point of view?
So we make polyester fabrics, we coat them.
What is the end use?
The end use is luggage industry.
Luggage.
Yeah.
All these luggage guys are all importing from China. Most of them, the material is coming, even Delci or VIP for that matter. VIP is using China-made.
So currently Samsonite and Safari are 99% India.
No, they're buying Indian material and
Yes,
using
they're making from Indian products.
So where is the challenge that you are facing?
The main is not these brands are fine, but then there's it's a big unorganized sector. The luggage industry is the biggest unorganized sector.
So your unorganized sector is buying China material.
Correct.
Right. So that is basically stock material, any color, any quality, because unorganized. They are looking at a price what is available in the market and not coming to you because you're making a standard product which is a freshly made product and selling. Whereas the China-made product is lying in the market, in a cash and carry market, and small runs or leftovers coming from wherever and flooding the market basically. So that is, your problem is the unorganized sector of the market rather than the organized sector of the market. Am I right on that?
Yeah, somewhat. Because still, even in the organized market, there are a lot of purchases from China. Even though right now in India, we have scaled up so much that there are many factories and many looms that have come up recently after COVID. And we are trying to compete China, but then there's still that thing that we're not able to sustain as much as...
Is it the pricing?
It's one of the factor.
What else?
And the quality.
So I think you have your answer. The quality is something that one will have to work upon.
So the quality we are making up to the mark, whatever we are getting, the yarn and everything, whatever possible, it's with us, we are doing that to the much. But still that one point is there that people are still, there's no patriotism out here. Everyone wants sasta mal. Quality कितना भी आप control कर लो, quality जितना भी आप दे दो, but then still सस्ता माल चाहिए, बस.
Market dynamics, I mean, very difficult to answer that question of yours specifically, but one will have to just work out your niches in the market. You got a luggage industry, which is the great industry, which is a growing industry as well. And maybe at some point of time, protectionism to that industry, but China-made stuff which is coming in. The government is aware of these things and they want to promote the domestic industry. So slowly, steadily, there is a checkpoint on cheap material coming in from China. So somewhere down the line, it's a government policy related issue as well, because when we try to export to China, it's difficult to get our materials through the import customs process over there, because they look at it very closely before anything from India is coming into China, except for yarns, because China is deficient in yarns, if I'm not mistaken, right? But you tried exporting fabric from here. I don't know about grey fabrics. Does grey fabrics export to China from India?
Yeah, only if they have export license, because there's an import duty of 9.5%.
But is it competitive to sell grey fabric to China? So yarns and grey fabric they do take, but try sending finished fabric from here. I don't think that will be successful. Because value-added stuff in China, they rather do the value addition there and export it to the world. So we also need to have certain, I mean that is at a macro economy level, that how do we prevent the Chinese sending things to India which we have a domestic industry already in place. So it's not only your industry, even the rainwear industry and a lot of other industries which get this cheap Chinese material coming in. And I'm not saying only textiles, but there are a lot of other industries which get impacted by China imports. So how Apple has tried to collaborate, setting up Foxconn in India and trying to export, but even those Apple products are still, the back-end products are coming from China. Though Foxconn is a Taiwan company and exporting iPhones from India, but 80% of the components are still coming from China to get exported to the world. Yeah, they just compiled it in that way. So each industry has its own challenges, but your industry, you'll have to look at a niche that you can sustain yourself. If the VIPs and the other companies are willing to take an Indian material at a good quality and a reasonable price, you got to keep on working on your dynamics of your pricing. Because how do you compete with those big guys in China who just flood the market in India and compete in your industry?
Yep.
Unless and until somebody wants to answer that question.
So
We are very short of time, so would request, please close it fast.
वेरी गुड इवनिंग सर. सर हमने एक B2B टेक्सटाइल पोर्टल डिज़ाइन किया है. माई कंपनी इज़ अराउंड 6 years old company. It is named as cholatrade.com. We have now 10,000 plus registered customers. उसमें हम लोगों ने स्पेशली डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड इंडस्ट्री के लिए डिज़ाइन किया है, जहाँ पे आपको राइट फ्रॉम लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग ऑन रेंट बेसिस लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग मिलेंगे, ट्रांसफार्मर, जनरेटर्स, एवरीथिंग. उसमें हमने एक और सर्विसेज ऐड किया है जिसमें आपको टेक्नीशियंस, इंजीनियर्स, जो एक टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री को लगेगा जो सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है आज, शायद निकुंज सर को मालूम ही है कि एक टेक्नीशियन फाइंड करना है इनको. जैसे उनका इन्वेस्टमेंट मोर देन 100 CR होगा, उनको एक टेक्नीशियन के लिए इतनी तकलीफ होती होगी. अगर एफिशिएंसी चाहिए तो गुड टेक्नीशियंस चाहिए, वो हम लोग दे रहे हैं. तो सर इस चीज़ को आगे क्या स्कोप है, हमको ये समझना है कि ये B2B कंसेप्ट में डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड स्पेशली चलेगा कि नहीं. जो वे में सोच रहे हैं ये पोर्टल वर्क होगा या नहीं होगा, या मे बी फ्लॉप शो हो सकता है या क्लिक हो सकता है बहुत अच्छी तरह, स्पेशली फॉर डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड.
Yeah, Pratik ji, please. Thank you.
So I think the best way to look at any opportunity, whether there is any or not, is A, look at the market size. Textiles market size is huge. मतलब आप भी जो बना रहे हो, जिसका जो use case है वो बहुत बड़ा market size है. And secondly, if the entire market where the size is huge is decentralized, which again in this case is, तो अगर market size बड़ा और decentralized market है तो opportunity बहुत है. Then it depends on the execution. If that is done well, then definitely I think use case तो होगा ही. Yourself saying कि एक 100 crore का प्रोजेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट करने के लिए एक टेक्नीशियन ढूंढने में इतनी तकलीफ होती है, तो यू नो नीड है, राइट. तो मार्केट साइज बड़ा है, डिसेंट्रलाइज है और नीड है, आई थिंक डेफिनेटली होगा.
कुछ सर का मुझे सजेशन चाहिए था इस पे कि क्या है, क्या कैसे कंसेप्ट है, और इचलकरंजी जी में सपोज ये चलेगा या नहीं चलेगा.
प्रतीक ने कहा कि आप इंडिया का मार्केट साइज देखिए और आप बात कर रहे हो इचलकरंजी की. So I think you need to think bigger. If you are looking at the Indian market, then talk about the Indian market. 85% is decentralized. Everybody has the same issues. रही बात इचलकरंजी की, so I don't think you are building a product for इचलकरंजी. जहाँ पे फोन कॉल पे होता है वहाँ पे कोई नेट पे नहीं जाता है, जहाँ पे फोन कॉल पे नहीं पहुँचता है वहाँ पे आदमी नेट पे जाता है. So I think you need to actually आप भारत के लिए कर रहे हो कि इचलकरंजी के लिए कर रहे हो?
सर मैं पूरे वर्ल्ड के लिए डिज़ाइन कर रहा हूँ. 10,000 कस्टमर से अप्रोक्सीमेट 20% मेरे अब्रॉड के ये कस्टमर्स हैं, बट दोज आर फॉर स्पेशली मशीन्स. जो सेकेंड हैंड मशीन का कंसेप्ट है उस पर हमने ज़्यादा फोकस किया है, प्लस सर्विसेज, कस्टम क्लियरिंग एजेंट्स है, टेक्निकल टीम है, लीगल एडवाइजर.
कंसेप्ट इज फैंटास्टिक अमित, आपको लास्ट टाइम भी कहा था मैंने, कंसेप्ट इज फैंटास्टिक, बट यू विल हैव टू ब्रेक इट डाउन एट अ वेरी वेरी माइक्रो लेवल. वर्ल्ड के लिए आप क्या डिज़ाइन कर रहे हो, इचलकरंजी के लिए आप क्या कर रहे हो, इंडिया के लिए आप क्या कर रहे हो. सबको सब प्रोडक्ट और सब सर्विस चाहिए, बट सब कोई अमेजॉन नहीं बन सकता है. इट्स अ B2B, so you'll need to really slice out the market and focus on something, become really good at something. Somebody needs to use one of your products and recommend you. He should be happy so that he comes back to you, because आप अगर B2B में कर रहे हो और कैपिटल इंटेंसिव कैपिटल प्रोडक्ट्स का कर रहे हो तो उसमें रिपीट बाइंग कस्टमर नहीं होता है, और उसका रिपीट बाइंग का साइकिल भी 2 साल 5 साल होता है. तो इट्स नॉट अ वर्ड ऑफ माउथ कि आपको एक बार हो गया वो कस्टमर वापस आपके पास आ गया. ये काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें मेरे को लगता है इसके लिए यू नीड टू सिट डाउन विद प्रतीक. और उसने जो स्टार्टिंग में कहा था प्रतीक ने कि आप किसी स्टार्टअप के इसमें जाइए प्रेजेंट करने के लिए, वो जब आपसे 50 फॉर्म भरवाएंगे तो आप खुद काफ़ी चीज़ें आंसर कर दोगे जो आज शायद आप आंसर नहीं कर रहे हो. तो अब आपको 50-100 फॉर्म भरने होंगे ना, तो आप खुद बैठ के एक एक चीज़ आप आंसर करोगे. एंड इफ यू हैव द राइट क्वेश्चंस, द आंसर विल अपीयर, आई थिंक.
And focus is very important. Like I can tell you, daily at least 10 times people ask us कि आप लोग कपड़ा क्यों नहीं कर लेते, गारमेंट क्यों नहीं कर लेते हो. We are absolutely focused on one product कि ठीक है उसमें कैटेगरी में डोमिनेट करना है. If you're looking at multiple services, maybe your core is कि ठीक है one stop solution for all these services. But even with that, it's called a long tail model, right? आपका भी long tail model है. Long tail model में आपका एक कैटेगरी होना चाहिए which becomes your first flywheel. Amazon का भी जर्नी स्टार्ट हुआ था बुक्स के साथ. बुक्स के पहले फ्लाईव्हील एक्टिवेटर, देन दे वेंट टू अदर कैटेगरीज. तो पहले एक कैटेगरी को फोकस करके उसको डोमिनेट करो, फिर गेट इनटू द लॉन्ग टेल मोड.
उसमें बड़ा सिंपल सा है, जस्ट देता हूँ. आपने टेक्नीशियन की सर्विस दी, अगर मेरे को आपका एक टेक्नीशियन नहीं अच्छा लगा तो मैं 50 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट आपकी मशीन में नहीं करने वाला हूँ. सो इफ दैट क्रिएट्स अ बैड इंप्रेशन विथ मी, आई माइट नॉट कम बैक टू यू. सो व्हाट राइटली व्हाट प्रतीक इज सेइंग, यू रियली नीड टू फोकस.
माय नेम इज़ अरविंद साबू. साबू टेक्सटाइल करके मैं फर्म चलाता हूँ. कालबा देवी, नासिक, ठाना, 3 जगह मेरे ब्रांचेस है. मैं डेकोरेशन फैब्रिक सप्लाई करता हूँ. ऑल ओवर इंडिया, पैन इंडिया होता है सप्लाई. तो उसमें मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जैसे चेयर कवर है, फ्रिल्स है, पर्दे है, ये सब बनाते हैं हम लोग. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग चैलेंजेस ये आते हैं कि इमरजेंसी ऑर्डर आता है, रातों रात हमको ये टेंट बना के चाहिए. कारीगर के पास देते हैं माल, कारीगर बोलता है मेरी बीवी बीमार है. मास्टर बोलता है कुछ और है. मतलब ट्रांसपोर्ट से फैब्रिक टाइम पे पहुंचता नहीं है कारीगर के पास में. तो बहुत से चैलेंजेस है, तो वो कैसे हैंडल करने चाहिए उस बारे में भी. स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्री में ये प्रॉब्लम्स बहुत आते हैं. फिनिश प्रोडक्ट बनाने के सप्लाई करने तक कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स आते ही रहते हैं. तो वो हैंडल्स कैसे करें.
I don't think any panelist wants to take that question.
Go ahead. See, these are all practical operation challenges, right? We're sitting in a city like Bombay where the traffic is insane. वही सिटी में आप जेप्टो, स्विगी, ब्लिंकिट वगैरह यूज़ करते हो, 10 मिनट के अंदर आपके घर पे सामान आता है, राइट? यू हैव टू गेट इनटू द निटी-ग्रिटीज ऑफ द ऑपरेशंस एंड अंडरस्टैंड कि आप उसको कैसे सॉल्व कर सकते हो. We've already seen case studies where India में मतलब cities where there the traffic even at a hyper local model is madness. मतलब मेरे बिल्डिंग से अगर खाली गली के बाहर तक निकलूँ ना तो ट्रैफिक है, उसमें जेप्टो वाला 10 मिनट में पहुँच रहा है, राइट? तो आपका जो चैलेंज है वो एग्जीक्यूशन ऑपरेशनल चैलेंज है. आई थिंक इफ यू स्टार्ट लुकिंग एट इट, वी हैव सीन लाइक केस स्टडीज बीइंग बिल्ट कि इट इज पॉसिबल टू बी सॉल्व.
I run an e-commerce business, right? So the expectation level, I think it's about planning, really. I think more than anything, it's about planning for contingency, planning for what can go wrong. And I think when you plan for contingency, then, you know, then I think it's always smooth sailing. Or
Rightly said, planning for contingency. Just give you some inputs if it helps. First of all, keep material in stock, fast-moving material in stock. Let us say white chair covers and frills in this event room over here. I'm coming to the various problems, but start at the basic level. First is material. Keep material in stock which is fast moving. Manufacture covers and keep in stock which is again standard. कुर्सी स्टैंडर्ड होती है, थोड़ा भी 2 इंच प्लस है कि माइनस से फ़र्क नहीं पड़ेगा. So at least keep something in stock which is standard. So anytime you have a requirement, you can send it immediately, subject to traffic, of course. But these are some of the things which gets you assured business in the year. Then will be customized. मेरे को तो ये कलर का चाहिए, या मेरा वाला पिंक चाहिए, मेरा वाला ब्लू चाहिए. तो that is something one will have to work around. But I'm sure those kind of customers give you a little bit more time. When they want specific colors, specific sizes, relatively more time. And the third is you'll have those customers which are ever demanding कि मेरे को तो बस सब अभी चाहिए, in my color, my size, my everything. So don't worry about those customers because those customers may be few. But there's a mass market out there which uses standard colors and standard sizes. First get into that zone of the market to penetrate the market and deliver to that market. Then go up the ladder.
So the last question of the session, please, Prasad ji.
Hi, I am Prasad Shetty from Apparel.
Mic chalu.
Hi, I am Prasad Shetty from Vibrant Clothing Company. I am a competent weaver and I make linen fabrics. first and foremost, I would like to thank each and every one of the panel. I mean, such an esteemed panel. I've been hugely benefited in the last 3 years. Thanks for sharing your perspective. Naval, you asked very pointed questions. I mean, I had so many things in my mind, but you covered a lot of them. So thank you to you also.
Thank you so much.
I have the fortune of being associated with Mr. Pachriwal. I would like to have the good fortune of being associated with other in the panel. Whenever possible, as a collaborator, I have an infrastructure, I make good fabrics. So linen fabrics in particular, if requirement, it's my wish. I work with one, I would like to work with all 6.
Thank you. Thank you for your valuable time, all the panelists. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise here. And I would like Yuva Samiti to take over and give the thanks to the panelists. Okay, so first we would like to give a thank to Mr. Pratik ji. Just a second, we'll have a photos please. Can somebody click a picture? Okay? Okay, great. Pratik ji, please somebody escort him to the desk. Yeah, thank you. Next, Nilay ji. Amit ji. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Krishna Chandak ji, please. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your experience. Mr. Sanjay Kedia ji. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable experience and the expertise. Thank you so much. Nikun ji, please. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the lovely audience here.